I sit with a small lamp on the table. The light is soft. It warms the hands in the room. I invite calm. I invite a gentle attention to this moment. The day shuts its doors. The evening leans in. I hold this quiet space for you. I ask you to breathe with me. Breathe in slowly. Hold for a gentle count. Let the breath leave without hurry. Feel the shoulders soften. Notice the jaw unclench. In this steady rhythm, the mind begins to ease. Thoughts still come. I let them pass, like leaves on a slow stream. No need to chase them. No need to fix them. Just watch the current. I place my hand over my heart and remember that God meets us here. His presence is not loud or urgent. It is a steady light under the lid of night. I tell myself that warmth is real. I tell myself that mercy is near. The day's mistakes are not the measure of tonight. Compassion arrives like rain after a dry week. I breathe that in. I speak softly now, because the room listens. I do not offer long explanations. I offer simple truths that rest the soul. God knows the shape of the day. He knows its edges. He sees the small victories and the tiny losses. That steady seeing does not judge. It cares. It steadies. I feel a hand on the shoulder, even when no one is there. I invite you to let go of tasks. Imagine them laid on a table beside you. Some are folded neatly. Some are piled high. I do not take them away for you. I only remind you that they can wait until morning. Night has its own work. Its work is to restore. Its work is to soften tired muscles and weary thoughts. Let the mind's hands relax their grip. I remember words I read long ago and hold them gently in the mind. They ask for trust like a warm blanket. They speak of rest as a kind friend and of mercy that comes every morning. I do not bring complex ideas. I bring gentle assurance. I bring a promise that home is waiting and peace can be found now. Each sentence I read tonight is a slow step towards sleep. I slow my voice so the room can breathe. Each syllable falls like a small pebble on still water. The ripples are quiet. They spread outward until sound becomes hush. I watch my pulse. It slows. I scan the body from head to toe. The scalp relaxes. The muscles around the eyes soften. The throat loosens. The shoulders drop. The back unbinds. I let the feet sink into the bed or the floor. Grounding happens step by step. I offer a short scene. Picture a lamp on a small table. A window is slightly open. A cool evening breeze crosses the curtains. The trees outside are patient and steady. The moon moves its slow path. A single star holds bright near the horizon. This scene is simple. It does not demand action. It asks only for attention. Hold it in the mind. Return to it if the mind wanders. I remind myself that forgiveness is not earned tonight. It is given. The record of mistakes is not the book that determines rest. A softer book is open. It holds grace in the folds of its pages. I rest in that tenderness. I let guilt loosen like a knot coming undone. My breath carries away the tension. I speak about hope in small measures. Hope is not a loud claim. It is a quiet knowing that morning brings new light. It is like a seed that waits beneath the soil. Patient and alive. in the darkness. Life is still at work. The same is true for the heart. Even in the quietest nights, growth is happening. This steadiness gives courage to sleep. I guide a short practice of letting go. Name the day's heaviest thought. Breathe into that space. Imagine that thought turning into a small bird. Watch the bird open its wings. Let it fly across the room and settle on the sill. The bird does not need to return right now. It rests. Your mind does the same. Release comes in small movements, not in forceful commands. I also speak of care. There is a gentle watch over us that does not waver. That care notices the smallest crack. It brings balm. It does not shame. It repairs with patience. I rest in that repairing presence and let the body lean into its work. I keep language plain and steady. I avoid long sentences that demand thought. I avoid argument. I avoid harsh words. The night is not a classroom for debate. It is a room for receiving. So I read slowly, as if each word is a soft cloth smoothing the skin after a long day. I invite a short pause now. Listen to the sounds of the house. Maybe there is the distant hum of a refrigerator. Maybe the street outside is quiet. Maybe feet on hardwood. Each sound is part of this tapestry. None of them disrupt the calm. They are threads in the evening's fabric. Let them remain in the background. They keep you company. I remind myself and you that rest is a gift. It is not a reward for perfect effort. It is the way the body heals. The mind reweaves its thoughts. Faith is simple here. It does not require proof. It rests in presence. When sleep comes, it is a gift that restores balance and renews courage for tomorrow. I describe small acts that invite peace. Fold the hands loosely on the chest. Soften the face. Smile without force. Let the eyes feel heavy. Imagine warmth spreading like gentle sunlight across the skin. Picture light pouring into the chest, filling the space under the ribs. The ribs expand, then settle. The heart calms its pace. Breath becomes a steady, friendly tide. I remind the heart of mercy's pattern. It comes again and again. I place my trust in this rhythm. When night brings worry, I return to breath. When the mind insists on replaying what cannot be changed, I guide it back to the present. The present is small and manageable. It contains the lamp on the table, the cool air at the window, the steady sounds of the house. These are enough right now. I speak of gratitude in small notes. Name one small kindness from the day. It can be a warm cup, a brief smile, a moment of quiet. Let gratitude sit like a small pebble in the palm. Turn it over. Feel its smoothness. Gratitude does not erase pain. It sits beside it and softens the edges. I keep the tempo slow. Each phrase is a breath. Each breath is an anchor. I am the one who reads, and I do it with care. The words are gentle hands that press the brow and smooth worries. I do not demand anything from you. I only offer these moments of rest. When the eyes are heavy, let them close. Do not push for sleep. Let the body find its own time. If the mind grows loud, return to the breath and the lamp and the small bird on the sill. If tears come, let them. If silence falls, welcome it. The night wraps itself around all of it. I end this introduction with a clear invitation. Stay here a while longer. Allow the warmth of these words to settle. I will continue with a short reading in the next part. For now, rest with the knowledge that mercy is near, hope is steady, and peace is within reach. Let the lamp dim, let the breath lengthen. I remain with you until sleep arrives. I settle the Bible on my knees. The lamp makes the pages glow. The room breathes with me. In this moment, let us find comfort and strength through Scripture. If this time gives you calm, consider subscribing and sharing this quiet with others who need rest. I open the book slowly. The paper feels thin under my fingers. The spine makes a soft sound like a small step. I let my eyes rest at the top of the page. I do not rush. I read for rest. I read for healing. I begin with a passage that moves like a slow river. It speaks of guidance and gentle paths. I read with care, placing each phrase like a pebble into still water. The words describe a presence that walks beside me. It speaks of green places where the body unknots and of quiet waters that invite a thirsty soul to drink. The tone is steady, not hurried. The voice that wrote these lines knows how to keep a lamp low and a fire soft. When I read about being guided on right paths, I imagine a narrow trail through tall grass. The trail is worn but gentle. Steps are even and small. There is no rush to arrive. The air is cool. Dew rests on the blades. I breathe with that image. My shoulders loosen. The mind stops trying to fix everything at once. A hand rests at the small of the back. It is the kind of guidance that does not push or pull harshly. It supports. The next passage I choose brings an invitation. It offers a rest to those who carry weight. I read how a weary throat hears a quieter voice, and how heavy shoulders become lighter. The invitation does not demand perfection. It simply offers a place to lay burdens down. I picture a wide bench beneath an old tree. The bench takes the shape of aching muscles. The tree shelters from sun and storm. Here, weariness is noticed and honored. I sit with that scene until the breath slows. As I read, I pause after each line. I allow the silence to hold the meaning. Silence is part of the reading. It is where the words sink into the skin. It is where the heart begins to accept what the ear has heard. Small, quiet breaths follow. A hand finds the chest and rests there. The beat beneath is steady and enough. I move gently to a passage about shelter. The picture is not of a locked room but of a tent that opens to friends. It promises protection in storms and a place to recover after travel. I let that tent unfold in my mind. Its fabric smells faintly of smoke and earth. Inside, there is warmth and a small bowl of simple food. Nothing extravagant, just enough to mend tiredness. The thought is simple and true. I read about mercy that arrives like morning. Mercy is described as regular and true. It comes without demand and without the need to prove oneself. Each day brings it anew. I imagine morning light entering through a thin curtain. The light touches a hand first, then the face, everything that was cramped, relaxes a degree. Hope does not shout. It arrives in soft increments. I take a breath. I let a small gratitude fold into the reading. I name a single kindness from the day. It might be a warm cup, a brief smile, a moment of silence shared. These small mercies sit beside the larger ones. They do not fix all, but they steady the next step. The reading moves now to words about courage that grows quietly. Courage is not a sudden leap. It is a slow gathering of small, faithful deeds. It is like tending a hearth. I picture someone adding a single twig at a time until the embers glow bright enough for warmth. Each small act matters. Each quiet prayer counts. In the dark, small lights matter more than grand gestures. I slow the pace even more. I read a few lines that speak of being known deeply. The language here is intimate, but calm. It says that nothing about me is hidden from the one who cares. This knowing is not accusatory. It is tender. It knows the shape of failure and still leans in with kindness. I let that truth wash over me. A release follows. My hands unclench. Now I read a short portion that comforts against fear. The words do not promise an absence of trouble. They promise a companion through trouble. I imagine walking through a shadowed valley with steady feet beside me. The valley has cool air and the scent of wet earth. There are sounds, but they do not frighten. A lamp hangs between us, and its light keeps the path clear enough for calm steps. I pause and breathe. I suggest a simple practice. Let the breath count gently in for 4. Hold for 2. Out for 6. Let the chest expand like a small sail. Let tension flow out on the longer exhale. Repeat this with the rhythm of the sentences. Let reading and breathing find the same pace. The body will respond. The words I read next speak of a promise to make a straight way. The promise is gentle and steady. It does not erase difficulty, but it offers direction. I picture a path cleared of debris. It leads forward with small signposts. Each signpost is a small truth to hold. You are seen. You are enough for this moment. You are permitted rest. The signs are quiet but firm. I allow the imagery to soften into a prayer-like hush. I do not pray loud words. I hold a quiet intention. The intention is simple: for peace to settle, for tension to ease, for sleep to come when it is ready. I sit with that wish for a few deep breaths. The room holds the wish. I keep the reading to brief passages. Each passage becomes like a short lantern carried through the night. The lantern shows only the next step. It reassures without demanding that the whole way be revealed. This is the kindness of Scripture at bedtime. It does not exhaust the mind with answers. It offers the next small comfort. I read now of rest given as an inheritance. Rest here is not weakness. It is part of the human design. It is a sanctuary for the heart and the body. I picture a home with a low roof and a bed of soft straw. The house has no hurry. It keeps a slow clock. There is a sense of belonging that settles the nerves. I breathe into that image. As the reading slows to a close for this part, I give one more small practice. Lay a hand on the ribs. Feel the movement there. Track the rise and fall. If thoughts interrupt, acknowledge them gently and return to the breath. Let imagination hold a single comforting image, a small lamp, a cool window, a steady friend at your side. Keep that image like a stone in the pocket. I fold the book gently. I do not slam it shut. The pages rest. The lamp remains low. I remind us both that these words are not a test. They are an offering. Take what helps. Leave what does not. The heart chooses quietly. Before I move on, I invite a moment of silence together. Breathe in deep. Hold for a breath. Let it go slow. Feel the world soften at the edges. Know that mercy meets you here. Know that hope breathes beside you. When you are ready, rest your eyes. If sleep comes, receive it without guilt. If it does not, return to these images and to the steady rhythm of the breath. I will continue the reading in the next part. For now, let the lamp dim just a little more. Let the hush grow. I remain still with you as night deepens. The lamp tilts its glow across the page. The Bible lies open on my lap. The house exhales with me. In this quiet, I read a familiar invitation. It calls the tired to come and rest. It asks the heavy laden to find ease. The voice of that call is gentle. It does not demand. It simply opens its arms. I let that idea settle. Rest is not a prize for perfect living. It is an offered shelter for the worn. Imagine a harbor at dusk. Small boats come in one by one. Each hull makes a soft knock against the wood. No boat is turned away. Each anchor sinks. Each person steps onto the same safe pier. The water calms. That image stays near the ribs. It feels true. A simple breath practice follows the image. Breathe in slowly for 3 counts. Hold for 1 count. Release for 5 counts. Let the out-breath be longer than the in-breath. With every exhale, imagine the harbor night, drawing a little more quiet into the lungs. Let the chest become soft as linen. Let shoulders lower like sails folding. Words about coming to find rest remind me to speak plainly. The invitation meets all who are burdened. It meets restlessness, doubt, and raw fatigue. It meets fear and the ache of the day. It does not ask for explanations. It asks only for presence. Being here is enough. Laying down the need to explain is part of the rest. I read on slowly. The voice in these pages is steady and calm. It does not hurry the night. It walks beside the listener. It offers a hand, not to pull, but to steady. Picture that hand as steady as a rail on a slow stair. The rail is warm from many palms. It does not judge the pace. Step by step, it guides. Now a soft body scan. Keep the pace of the breath you chose. Move attention to the forehead. Let the skin smooth. Allow the temples to melt toward the pillow. Ease the jaw. The tongue rests behind the teeth. The neck lengthens like a small river, finding its bed. Shoulders release into their sockets. Arms become heavier. Hands rest open. The belly follows the rising and falling tide of breath. Hips loosen. Thighs soften. Knees release. Feet let go into the mattress or floor. Each part relaxes in turn. No force, only invitation. I speak of mercy in plain terms. It arrives many times a day in small acts. A kind word overheard, a door held open, a moment of relief from pain. Mercy also comes quietly from a presence that knows the interior. It finds the tired places first. Mercy does not bargain. It simply comes. This night, let the mind hold one small phrase without turning it over. Come. Rest. It is short and steady. Say it once in the mind and allow the thought to sink. If the mind balks, return to the breath. If worry rises, let it pass like a small wave moving past the shore. Watch it go. Trust that the harbor remains. I keep the reading plain and spare tonight. The pages offer stories and promises that are not complex. They speak with the language of bread and fire and shelter. These are things the body understands. They are easy for the ear. The heart recognizes them, even when thought is tired. Picture a slow walk along a shoreline. The sand holds each step. There is a steady sound of soft water against stone. The sky keeps one gentle color. No need to hurry the horizon. Each step forward is enough. The shore does not demand more than the next small movement. This simple path becomes a way to rest the mind's pacing. I remind eyes to soften. Let eyelids become heavy. If the room is bright, dim the lamp another notch. If a blanket is near, draw it up. The physical comforts are part of the ritual. They do not solve everything, but they form a container where rest can grow. Now, I read of being invited to catch a different rhythm. The present beat is sometimes too fast. The reading suggests a slower metronome. It matches the long exhale practice. Let this rhythm be the night's companion. Let tasks wait. The clock of tomorrow is not urgent now. I offer a short visual anchor. Keep the image simple. A small oil lamp in a fishing cottage glows on the sill. A cat sleeps, curled in the shadow. Outside, waves murmur. The lamp is steady. It is enough to find direction. Commit to this small scene. Return to it when thoughts become busy. Gentle thoughts about forgiveness arise here without heavy words. Forgiveness is a release that happens in stages. It may come as a single breath. It may come as a quiet night. It does not require full understanding. It only needs acceptance. Lay down the burden you carry of having to fix the past this very night. The night will not erase all things, but it can ease the weight enough to sleep. I read further about accompaniment. The pages emphasize a companionable presence. This presence stays near through valleys and shadows. The promise is not that trouble will vanish, but that the path through it will be walked with a steady hand. Imagine a thin lamp between two walkers. Its light makes the ground clear enough for safe steps. This promise brings calm. It keeps fear from growing larger. A small practice now. Place a hand over the heart. Feel the warmth there. Let that warmth be a marker of steadiness. Breathe into the hand. Inhale warmth. Exhale tension into the night air. Repeat a few times. Each cycle folds a bit more calm into the chest. I speak of hope in the manner of small truths. Hope does not shout at midnight. It whispers. It reminds that morning will come not as a demand but as a continuation. Seeds are already under the ground. Working while the world sleeps. The same quiet work happens in the heart. Even when sleep is slow, growth continues by small degrees. The language I use stays clear and slow. Sentences arrive like soft planks on a pier. They hold. They do not carry the weight of argument. They carry rest. The reading is for listening, not for study. Let the ear receive without pushing for analysis. Now imagine a small wooden chair by a window. A person rests there. Not because the work is done, but because the day is over. A cup of tea cools beside the chair. The person breathes with a steady rhythm. The room allows the body to slow. The person is permitted to be simply present. This permission is part of the night's mercy. I return briefly to the invitation. It stands open to anyone who comes. No title is required. No report is demanded. Weariness itself is the reason to come. Let that sink. Let the body and mind accept rest as an appropriate response to labor and loss. Before I close this part, a final soft practice. Name 3 small things that felt kind today. They may be tiny. A moment of quiet, a brief laugh, a room warmed by sunlight. Hold each one like a small pebble. Place them in the pocket of the heart. They are there to steady the night. I close the book gently. The lamp keeps its low light. The harbor image rests again on the mind. Breathe with the long exhale rhythm. Feel the hand on the chest. Know the presence that invites rest walks beside you. When eyes close, let sleep come as it does. If it does not arrive, stay with the calm breathing and the small images. I remain reading with you in the next part. For now, accept the night's invitation to rest. I remember a time when weariness lived in the bones, the kind that arrives not from one hard day, but from many hard weeks. It settles like a quiet fog. It makes small things heavy. Buttons feel like stones. Words feel like wool. Even laughter is slow to find its breath. In that season, work stretched long into dusk. The hands kept moving because tasks did not stop. Meals happened between errands. Sleep came in scraps. There is a memory of sitting on the edge of a narrow bed with the Bible closed in my lap. The room smells of kettles and the faint linen of a pillow. The clock ticks with a kind, steady voice. It does not rush the night. It only marks time, patient and indifferent to fatigue. My fingers trace the cover without opening the book at first. The gesture is small and familiar. It steadies the pulse. There is a particular comfort in the weight of it. The pages promise a place that will carry the tired without question. I am the one who reads. I tuck that roll gently into the hollow left by busyness. The reading becomes a ritual. It is not always long. Sometimes it is only 2 verses. Sometimes a single line becomes a whole night's companion. The exhaustion colors the world in soft gray. The mind prefers to loop worries like a broken refrain. It plays the same small failures again and again. In those times, the act of opening scripture is a shallow, safe work. The eyes rest on letters like stepping stones. I read slowly, sometimes aloud in the empty room, sometimes in a whisper so soft the pillow hears first. The voice is small. Its steadiness steadies the skin around the eyes. A particular night returns oft. It rains outside. The roof breathes in a slow, wet rhythm. The sound is steady and kind. I sit at a kitchen table. A warm cup steams beside the open page. The light above is dim. A single bulb with a gentle ring. The room holds no grand view. There is only the table, the cup, and the book. That modest scene becomes a chapel. The Bible's words move through me like a warm cloth. They do not fix what is broken. They simply make it bearable. Mercy shows up in small details. A line about being known. A phrase about rest offered to the tired. A reminder that love is present even when strength is low. These are not heavy proofs. They are invitations. They arrive like a hand smoothing a brow. I let them rest on me without arguing. I let the words do their quiet work. The night does not demand an answer. It only asks for attention. There is a memory of a late bus ride home. The city lights are a slow scatter. The body hunches from the wind and the long day. In the bag is a small Bible. Its spine soft from travel. I do not read long passages. Instead, I place a thumb on a favorite verse and hold it there. The verse becomes a small anchor. In the bus is rocking. Those words do not shout. They hold. They remind the heart of a presence that cares for the tired traveler. Simple routines help then. A slow rinse of the face. A clean shirt folded on the chair. The Bible set by the bedside. These small acts make a space where rest can enter. They are not cures. They are invitations. Like clearing a small patch of earth for one seed. The seed does not sprout by will. It needs the quiet soil. So does weariness need a gentle place. The body learns a new language of limits. It names fatigue without shame. The chest recognizes when it has nothing left to give. The hands ask permission to pause. Saying yes to rest is sometimes the bravest thing. It looks like closing a laptop. It looks like turning off a phone. It looks like folding the day into a small square and setting it aside. The Bible helped with that permission. A line about laying burdens down became an argument I would not argue with. It felt like a safe instruction handed to a tired pair of shoulders. There were nights when the tears came quietly. They did not demand explanations. The pages held them anyway. The book does not hurry the damp face. It bends around the weakness and keeps on speaking, somewhere between a verse and silence. A steadiness settles. It is not heroic. It is simply faithful. It keeps company with the weary. Companionship mattered a great deal. A friend who rings with a short, plain voice. A neighbor who knocks and leaves a small loaf. A quiet hand placed at the elbow and then gone. These small mercies gather like kindling. They do not fix the long season. They make warmth. When the long nights multiply, small kindnesses become a scaffold. They make each morning less heavy to lift. Prayer in that time is spare. It is not a long lecture. It is a few honest words. Say them slowly. Name the tired parts. Ask for small things, a little strength for the hour. A softening of the tight jaw. A calm breath to last the next shift. These short prayers do not demand answers on the night they are spoken. They are seeds of trust planted in quiet soil. The Bible reads alongside them. The pages do not contradict the sigh. They only give it company. A particular image keeps returning a low hill at dusk. The sky is cool and washed in blue. One small lantern sits at the top of the rise. The light is not blinding. It only clarifies the step right in front. That single lantern is the kind of guidance I needed. Not a full map, just enough light for the foot. Scripture often plays that role. It does not reveal every turn. It shows the next safe place. Practical rhythm matters. Short rests in the day. A folded nap in a chair for 20 minutes. A meal that is not eaten in passing. A rule that screens go off 1 hour before sleep. These small structures protect the fragile. They create a room where the tired can recover. The Bible sits within those rhythms. A steady presence rather than a task. I learned to let mercy find me. It did not arrive as a tidy package. It came in uneven measures. Sometimes a night is lighter. Sometimes the fog returns. The point is not to eliminate struggle. It is to trust that help is available in small, frequent ways. The book on the lap. Words that anchor. Friends who arrive with no questions. These things combine into a net. Hope in that season is not a trumpet. It is a quiet assurance. It feels like a slow promise that the next morning holds a small repair. Perhaps the stiffness in the shoulders will loosen. Perhaps the mind will clear enough to make one good decision. Hope does not promise fireworks. It promises increment. Growth happens in soft degrees. That is enough for nights that are long. I still read to you each night. Old exhaustion returns at times. The memory of that season keeps me gentle with myself. It keeps the voice low and patient. When the audience is tired, the words read now are chosen with that compassion in mind. They are small. They are steady. They do not lecture. They steady. A short practice sits well here. Place a hand on the chest. Breathe slow into the palm. Notice the small cooling and warming of skin. Let thoughts come and go without following them. If the mind insists, offer one short phrase, present and held. Repeat it slowly. Let it be a soft rhythm like a knock at a closed door. The knock asks only to be acknowledged. Tonight, the Bible rests open again. Fingers hover at a verse that once felt like medicine. It still carries warmth. The room breathes with a soft hush. There is no need for long reading. 2 lines are often all that is needed. The light from a small lamp glows like a promise that the night can hold what it must. The page is familiar under the thumb. Before I close this part, a brief reminder. Weariness is not a sign of failure. It is a human mark. Rest is not indulgence. It is a necessity. Mercy meets both the tired and those who care for them. Let that truth settle like a cool hand on a fevered brow. I fold the page with care. The cup cools. The rain eases to a hush. I remain here, reading and keeping watch. If sleep comes, receive it without guilt. If wakefulness stays, stay with the steady words. I will read again in the next part. For now, rest in the small mercy of the night. I turn the page to a gentle place. The lamp warms the paper. My voice lowers, as if the room itself leans in. I offer one short line from Psalm 55. Not to argue about meaning, but to make room for rest. The verse asks the tired to cast their burdens on the Lord. It promises that those burdens will be sustained. I read it slowly. Each phrase settles like a small stone in a quiet pool. The sound of the words is soft. The promise is simple. Lay down what weighs you. Let the weight be held. There is no hurry to understand. There is an invitation to trust. Like stepping onto a steady dock, imagine a small bag. It sits on the floor beside the bed. Inside are the day's sharp bits, appointments that stretched too long, words that cut, the list of undone tasks, the raw edges of a worry about someone dear. Picture that bag in clear detail. Feel the straps under the palm. Now picture a pair of hands, not a distant force, but hands near enough to touch. They are capable hands. They know the bag's weight without needing explanation. Place the bag into those hands. Watch your fingers loosen. Notice the shoulders drop. The breath lengthens. Not forced. Simply easier. Breathe with that image. Inhale slowly. Hold briefly. Exhale longer. Let the out-breath be a small offering. With each exhale, picture the bag moving off the shoulder and into a steady hold. The hands do not fumble. They do not demand a payment. They only ask for trust to place the load down. This is not urgency. It is a small ceremony of release. The mind often argues that the bag must be kept, that solutions require carrying it all night. The psalm suggests otherwise. The night invites us to try placing burdens somewhere safe. It asks us to notice what it feels like when hands receive what tired arms no longer need to bear. I tell a story now, a short one. It is not dramatic. It is quiet and ordinary. It holds a lesson that is easy to carry. Once, long after a long season, a neighbor walked by with a heavy bundle. The bundle made the walk slow and careful. The evening wind smelled of rain. The path led past a small bridge over a shallow river. The neighbor paused there. He sat on the low stone and looked at the water. He did not speak. He simply untied the bundle and opened it. Inside were small stones, each marked with a name or a date. The stones were meant to be kept as reminders. They had become weights instead. One by one, the stones were placed on the bridge's rim and then gently let go into the flowing water. Each stone sank at first and then found a different place on the riverbed. The neighbor watchfully followed the stones with the eyes, expecting them to come back. They did not. The water took them onward. The face relaxed, as if a tension eased from the jaw. The walk home felt lighter by degrees. I do not say this as a parable to solve everything. I say this as a small scene that many nights can hold. The act of letting go need not be dramatic. It can look like setting down a stone and stepping away. The heart learns that some things are carried by stronger hands than mine. In the reading, the psalm speaks of being sustained. That word means not merely taken and forgotten. It means care. Think of a steady shelf that receives a jar. The jar is safe there. It does not crack. It rests Sustaining is like that. It keeps the shape of what is carried. It does not condemn the need to lay things down. Try this small practice now. Name one burden softly in the mind. Say its shape in a few words. Then picture that bundle sliding into those capable hands. Note the sensation that follows. The chest may lighten. The mind may still stir. That is normal. Return to the image. Place the same burden again. Watch the hands hold it with steadiness. Allow the shoulders to accept the new rest. Breathing in this way makes the act physical. The breath and image work together. The long exhale becomes the river. The hands become the shore that receives. Keep the pace slow. No haste, no performance. Just the small work of moving weight from one place to another. Mercy often arrives in small measures. It is rarely a thunderclap at midnight. More often, it is a slow unwinding, a line that reads like balm, a neighbor who pauses with a cup of tea, a hand that rests on an elbow for a moment. These are the ways the world helps. A tired heart practice, release. Scripture sits with those small acts. It joins the room's tenderness with a promise that holds across nights. The story continues, not as a long tale, but as a sequence of little returns. The neighbor goes home, and the bag of stones is not retrieved. He sleeps more easily. He wakes not cured of everything, but softened. The day ahead remains practical and difficult in parts. Yet the small act of letting go gives new space. Choices the next morning feel less crowded. The spirit can move more freely. I keep the language plain because the night does not need heavy words. Rest prefers short sentences that land like steady steps. The Psalm's instruction is like that. Cast the burden. Trust the sustaining hands. Return to breath. Repeat as necessary. If the mind argues that this is naive, invite it to a different task. Ask the mind to test the image for a minute. Let reason watch without insisting. Sometimes the heart is the better place to begin. It responds to images and small practices. The mind can follow later with quieter questions. Hold the small image of the river and stones for a moment longer. Let the lamp's circle of light feel like a small islet in a dark lake. The hands near the islet receive burdens and keep the... They do not demand explanations. They offer steadiness. The night is permitted to be a room where this exchange happens. For a final practice in this part, fold a piece of the day gently in the palms. Name it in one phrase. Visualize placing it into the hands described. Breathe out and notice any change. If the weight feels the same, place it again. Do this until the breath lengthens noticeably. Respect whatever response comes. The purpose is not to produce a miracle. It is to practice trust in a small, repeatable way. I close the Bible slowly, pausing a moment with thumb on the page. The lamp's glow is steady and forgiving. The neighbor's stones settle under water, out of sight. The promise of Psalm 55 rests like a thin, sure plank across a small gap. It asks nothing heroic. It asks for a small act of faith to place burdens in hands that can hold them. When ready, let the eyes become heavy. Let the breath keep its slow path. If sleep arrives, receive it without guilt. If wakefulness remains, Return to the image of hands and river. Repeat the breath pattern. Repeat the short practice. I remain here and will read again shortly. For now, allow what can be released to move off your shoulders. Let the night take its tender work. I open the Bible again and let the room settle around the low light. The pages feel familiar under my fingers. Tonight, I turn to a gentle theme. Forgiveness is the small work before sleep. It is not a lecture. It is a soft clearing. Forgiveness comes as a practice. It arrives in small moves. It does not always fix what was broken. It loosens the parts that ache from carrying. I speak of it simply because it has helped steady many nights. I am the one who reads. I place words beside the bedside like a warm cloth. I remember a person I once knew. Their life carried rough marks. Loss and sharp words visited often. Yet they moved through days with a calm that surprised many. It was not denial. It was a careful choosing. They forgave in increments. They forgave because the weight otherwise made living narrower. That person had a quiet ritual. At dusk, they would set a plain cup on the table. Into it they placed a scrap of paper. On the scrap they would write one name or one memory that felt heavy. The writing was quick and small. No arguments. No long history. Just a single line. Then the paper would rest in the cup and be softened by warm water. The ink blurred. The letters bled into one another and then eased apart. The cup was not a magic fix. It was an act that taught a body to let go. I tell this not to prescribe a method. I offer the scene as a small invitation. The body learns gestures. The heart remembers shape. One gentle act repeated becomes a new habit. Forgiveness can be such a habit. It does not demand forgetting. It asks for a release of tightness. Forgiveness has two directions. It moves toward others and toward the self. Forgiving another frees a hand. Forgiving oneself mends a small seam. Both are tender work. Both ask for patience. They ask for honesty without cruelty. Start with the breath. Breathe in slowly. Count 3. Hold for 1. Release for 5. Let the out-breath be longer and softer. With each out-breath, imagine a small loosening at the base of the neck. Feel the jaw soften a degree. Notice the chest widen by a sliver. Let the body practice the gesture of release. Name a single thing. It may be a short phrase. A single memory. A single hurt that repeats in the mind. Say it gently to the room. Without apology. No argument. No need to fix it tonight. The naming is not an accusation. It is a way to place something outside the head so it can be looked at without being swallowed whole. Picture a coat hung on a peg. The coat is heavy from a long day. When the coat's weight is placed on the peg, arms feel lighter. The peg is not harsh. It simply holds. Forgiveness is like that peg. It receives what the arms no longer need to carry. The coat stays on the peg until morning. The wearer does not forget the walk taken. They only rest the shoulders. Forgiveness also asks for boundaries. It is not an erasure of harm without consequence. Saying no and protecting space are part of the same gentle practice. One can forgive and still choose safety, mercy, and prudence can live together. This balance keeps the heart whole over time. I read a passage that speaks of mercy, not as weakness, but as a steady trait. It frames forgiveness as a kindness that returns to a soul. The words do not debate. They invite. They point to a presence that knows both hurt and need. That presence holds the messy parts without flinching. The voice on the page stays near the bed and watches over the slow unbinding. A small exercise now. Lay a hand on the sternum. Feel its steady rise and fall. With each in-breath, imagine gathering the tiny splinters of anger and fear into the palm. With each out-breath, imagine setting those splinters onto the windowsill. They do not vanish instantly. They cool there. They become smaller. The heart learns that setting things down is possible. Practice a brief imagining of a slow rain. The rain falls on a path of footprints. Each drop softens the edges. The prints do not disappear at once. They fade. Over time, the path looks gentler. Forgiveness is like rain. It does not obliterate history. It smooths its sharpness, so walking becomes easier. Resilience grows in the space forgiveness makes. A mind unburdened by endless replay has more room to notice small openings. A body released from clenched thought finds posture returning. Grace is not an instant fix. It is a steady presence that meets the tired and the raw. Leaning on that presence is not a weakness. It is a way to share weight. Sometimes forgiveness is a letter left unsent. Sometimes it is a prayer whispered into the dark. Sometimes it is the decision to stop replaying the hurt before sleep. Each small act practices mercy. None of them require a grand announcement. They only require a willingness to try again tomorrow. There are mornings when the heart wakes and finds anger returned. That is normal. Forgiveness often returns in phases. It is patient with relapse. If the mind replays the wrong, return to the small ritual, name it, breathe, place the image down, repeat. The practice is humble and ordinary. It is enough. Companionship helps. A friend who listens without solving is a great mercy. A neighbor who brings tea without posture. Small hands at an elbow that wait and do not judge. These are ways the world forgives with us. Mercy often arrives in quiet. Practical forms. The reading of Scripture joins those acts. It keeps a lamp low and steady. I read a concise passage that reminds the reader to forgive, not because consequences are erased, but because healing needs room. The text moves like a soft hand. It encourages growth by small degrees. It asks for an honest heart rather than a perfect one. The voice on the page is patient. It knows the night's smallness and the morning's slow work. If forgiving the self feels distant, start with a modest phrase. Tell the mind I did what I could today. Repeat it 3 times. Softly, let the words sink into skin like a warm cloth. Do not demand immediate change. Let small mercy do its slow work. The night is large enough for such gentleness. Another small practice. Place a sheet of paper on the table. Write one forgiving sentence for yourself. Keep it short. Fold the paper once. Tuck it under a favorite book. Let it sit until the morning. The physical act teaches the hands that mercy is allowed. The folded paper becomes a quiet promise. Forgiveness for others can be similar. Write a brief line that acknowledges the hurt, then add a line that contains a boundary or a truth about safety if needed. This keeps the act from becoming a false peace. Mercy does not require giving up protection. It requires an honest facing of what is true. I keep my voice slow so the room can breathe. Short sentences land like gentle steps. The reading is not a sermon. It is company for the night. The task is to make rest possible. That may mean forgiving again and again. It may mean accepting that some things need time beyond tonight. There is no need to force a grand change. Small acts of mercy repeated teach the heart a new rhythm. The rhythm grows into resilience. The soul learns that it can carry less while still moving forward. Grace becomes a steady companion rather than an occasional visitor. Before I close this part, try a simple closure. Take 3 slow breaths. With each out-breath, say the word forgive in the mind. Let it be a soft bell. Do not chase meaning. Let the sound be its own small ritual. If thoughts return, welcome them gently and return to the breath. I fold the page with care. The lamp's circle of light narrows. The cup cools. The practice of forgiveness sits like a small lamp on a shelf, not solving everything, but giving enough light for the next step. Rest in that presence. Trust that mercy and resilience work slowly together. When the eyes feel heavy, let them close. Sleep when it comes. If wakefulness remains, keep the breathing and the small images. I remain here, reading and keeping watch. In the next part I will read again. For now, allow forgiveness to do its quiet, steady work. Let the night receive what can be let go. I open the Bible and rest it on my knees. The page is soft under the lamp. The room breathes with a steady hush. Tonight, I read about God's goodness, not as a doctrine to untangle, but as a quiet presence that settles close like a warm quilt. The passage I choose paints pictures more than arguments. It speaks of steady care. It speaks of a presence that watches over small things. I read slowly, letting each image sink. The words do not rush. They unfold like a hand-smoothing cloth. I ask you to notice one small physical thing now. Place a palm lightly on the chest. Feel the rise and fall beneath. That motion is a gentle sign that life keeps moving. Let the hand rest there without pressure. The touch becomes a reminder that loving care is near, simple and near enough to feel. Think of a garden at the edge of evening. Rows of small plants turn their leaves toward the last light. The air smells faintly of soil and cut grass. A caretaker moves slowly down the rows, hand touching the stems, checking the soil. The movements are small. The care is steady. Nothing dramatic happens in an instant. But the garden stays tended. Growth appears by degrees. So does healing. God's goodness looks a lot like that tending. It does not always flood the whole field at once. It comes in regular visits. It waters where thirst shows. It listens to roots that strain. This image comforts because it honors time. It invites patience without pretending everything will change overnight. Breathe with me now. Take in for 4 counts. Hold a quiet moment. Let go for 6 counts. The longer out-breath is not a demand. It is a small training. With each exhale, imagine the garden's soil, softening a degree. Let tight places in the body relax as the breath moves out. Small relaxations add up. I set the Bible down for just a moment and tell a short scene. A potter sits at a low wheel. The clay looks dull at first. The hands that touch it turn slowly, pressing and shaping with careful patience. The vessel takes form through repeated gentle pressure. The potter does not worry the clay with haste. The work is tender. This is the kind of goodness that molds without violence. It allows the future shape while honoring the present soft state. That potter image matches the book's voice. The text I read speaks less of sudden fixes and more of steady tending. It treats life like something created gently over time. Rest comes when that truth is believed enough to stop pushing at what cannot be rushed. A small practice follows. Close the eyes, if that helps. Imagine a tiny lantern in the palm of your hand. The light is small and warm. It moves from the chest to the throat, and then down to the belly. Wherever the lantern passes, tension loosens a bit. The path it walks is slow. The light does not try to banish the dark. It simply makes the next step clear. Carry that lantern with the breath. Inhale as the lantern rises. Exhale as it settles. There is a quiet mercy in noticing small good things. Name one now. Say it softly in the mind. It could be the taste of simple bread. A brief word that felt kind. A breeze that found the window. Let the goodness sit beside the harder things. It does not cancel them. It softens the margins. The reading turns briefly to a hope that is modest. Hope here does not promise dramatic transformation tonight. It promises presence and a slow, reliable motion toward renewal. Imagine roots under the frozen ground. They work even when nothing seems to move above. The unseen work matters. It is the same with the heart. Quiet repair happens where it cannot be watched. The night becomes a place where that secret tending continues. I offer a small, practical moment. Rest the forehead on a soft cushion. If that feels right, let the jaw loosen. Allow the tongue to rest behind the teeth. Feel the shoulders slide away from the ears. Name one sentence I am tended. Say it once. Quietly. Do not argue. Let the words be a small anchor. Gentle boundaries belong in this picture of goodness. Mercy and care do not always mean keeping doors open to harm. The person who tends a garden sometimes trims and removes plants that choke others. Love cares for both comfort and safety. Forgiveness and protection can sit together like two hands supporting a fragile branch. I read a short part that mentions provision in very ordinary ways. Bread and water. Shelter and a roof. The language is plain because plain things are easiest for the body to receive. The text invites trust in these small provisions. It does not require grand proof. It asks for a quiet acceptance that daily needs are noticed. Allow the mind a single phrase, now simple provision. Let it rest like a pebble in the palm. If the mind grows busy, return to the pebble and the breath. This is not work to be solved in one night. It is a slow acceptance, slowly repeated. It changes how the heart rests. Companionship appears again in the reading. not as a vague idea, but as a close presence that keeps the long hours company. Imagine a friend who sits in the corner with a mug of tea and does not speak much. They are there. Their quiet does not demand tasks be explained. This is the kind of company the Scripture offers. It is steady and unhurried. If the hands are cold, rub them together slowly and then hold them near the chest. The warmth is an immediate comfort. Physical small comforts matter here. Cup tea can be a sacrament of small mercy. A blanket pulled up to the chin is a permission for the body to let go. I read another gentle line that reminds us that fear does not have the final word. Fear may visit, but it does not determine the whole night. The promise is a slow companion through the dark. Imagine a lighthouse on a distant hill. It does not light the whole sea at once. It shines often enough for sailors to know the shore is near. The promise is similar. It keeps pointing without shouting. A short practice, then imagine placing one worry into a small box. Close the lid. Place the box on a shelf. You picture as sturdy and safe. The lid is not glue. The box is not sealed forever. It is simply rested. Return to the breath and the feeling of the hand on the chest. Each time the worry returns, picture the same placement. Over time, the shelf fills with small boxes instead of the shoulders carrying every weight. Mercy and hope work in the same neighborhood. Hope makes room for slow repair. Mercy is the welcoming hand that does not force progress. Together they form a rhythm like a slow bell notice. Receive. Rest. Keep to that rhythm. It is enough for tonight. I keep my voice down, so the room does not guard against sleep. Short sentences want to land with you. The Bible is read in that same quiet pace. Nothing here aims to win an argument. Everything here aims to make space. If gentle tears come, let them. If silence settles like a soft cloth, sit in it. Both are part of the evening's work. Let the heart be seen by the one who knows small things as well as large ones. The reading I offer is a companion for this seeing. Before I close, hold to one small image, a table with a simple loaf, a cup of water, and a folded cloth. The table is not fancy. It is enough. The promise is that enough is noticed, and enough will often do. Let that image be a shelter in the night. I close the Bible slowly. The pages breathe. The lamp circle narrows. If sleep arrives, receive it without guilt. If wakefulness stays, return to the lantern in your hand, the potter's slow wheel, the garden's patient tending. Repeat the slow breath. Let the heart learn that goodness often arrives as small, faithful steps. I remain here with the lamp low. I will read again in the next part. For now, rest in the quiet goodness that keeps watch quietly beside you. I lift the Bible gently. The lamp is lower tonight. The room listens. Tonight, I read about a steady love. It is the kind that waits without condition. Romans 8:3, 8-39 speaks to that steadiness. I do not quote words exactly. I simply share the promise. Nothing finally separates the heart from this care. I say this as one who comes to read. My voice stays soft. The aim is not argument. It is rest. Let the idea settle like a soft cloth over shoulders. Feel the shape of it. It is wide enough to cover worry and fear. It reaches past mistakes. It reaches beyond what we fear most. Imagine un cloak laid across your lap. It is old in the best way. The fabric knows how to hold warmth. Slide your hands beneath it. Let it wrap around the shoulders. The cloak does not ask you to be different, to be warm. It simply warms. I ask you to breathe with that image. In for 3. Hold 1. Out for 5. Each exhale lets the cloak sit a little heavier and steadier. I speak simply about what unconditional love means here. It does not tally faults. It does not keep a ledger. It does not withdraw at the first mistake. It looks at the whole of life and folds the edges in. That kind of love is patient. It is not fragile. It bears the small breaks. It leans in when fear comes. Place a hand on the chest. Now, feel the beat. That rhythm is a witness. It is a quiet drummer that keeps time even when thought races. Let the hand be a companion to the heart. With each beat, imagine a gentle light spreading outward from the palm. The light is not bright. It is steady and warm. It moves through the ribs and into the shoulders. It settles there like soft wool. The reading I offer tonight invites trust, not coercion. Trust grows in small, repeated actions. It is like learning a tune. The first notes are awkward. Over time, the melody comes more naturally. So does confidence that one is loved. Repetition matters. A single night does not fix everything. Many quiet nights do their slow work. Think of a safe bay. The sea outside may toss and turn. In the bay, the water calms. Vessels do not disappear. They bob. They rest. Nothing about the sea's wildness makes the bay deny shelter. The love that holds us is like that bay. It is not unaware of storms. It is simply larger than them. It keeps a place where rest is possible even amid noise. I guide a very short body scan. Keep the breath slow. Begin at the top of the head. Ease the scalp. Soften the brow. Move attention to the eyes. Let them sink deeper into their sockets. Unclench the jaw. Let the tongue rest. Notice the neck and release a degree. Let the shoulders fall away from the ears. Follow the line down the arms. Let each finger relax. Bring attention back to the chest. Feel the lungs as they rise and fall. Soften the belly. Let the hips open a little. Unfold the knees. Ease the calves and feet. Each part loosens in turn. The cloak image covers all of it. Nothing must happen suddenly. Each small release is enough. When fear whispers that love must be earned, name the thought out loud in the mind. Say simply, I hear you, then return to the steady image. Let the mind know it is seen. Do not argue at length. Gentle acknowledgement reduces the thought's power. The heart needs repeated assurance more than clever answers. I read a short passage now about being held. It is not a forceful hold. It is a careful support. The words point to a presence that neither flees nor scolds. They remind the reader that the ground underfoot is trustworthy. Let these words fall slowly. Pause after each image and let the silence hold them. Silence lets the meaning sink without demand. A small practice follows. Write one worry on a scrap of paper if a pen is near. If not, name it silently. Fold the paper once. Place it beneath the cloak in the mind. Picture the cloak's hands taking the paper, smoothing it, and tucking it away. The act matters more than the result. Repetition trains the hands and mind to place burdens down, rather than clutch them all night. Love that holds without condition also encourages rest. It does not demand performance as proof. The offer of rest is not transactional. Rest is part of the body's design. Accepting rest is a small act of faith. Try it now. Close the eyes if that feels safe. Breathe in slowly. Let the out-breath be longer. With each exhale, imagine a small knot in the body's back loosening. Let gravity do its quiet work. There is mercy in being seen exactly as we are. That does not erase hurt. It reframes it. If shame is present, bring it to the lap and set it down like a small stone. Look at it without embellishment. Notice its weight. Then notice the cloak's breadth. Place the stone into the fold. It need not vanish. It simply rests where it will not press into the ribs through the night. A short story fits well here. Once I sat by a slow river at dusk. The water kept its quiet rhythm. Someone else drifted by in a small boat, humming without words. Their tune was thin and steady. It did not ask the world to change. The song only showed the person was still there, still moving, still present. Love often shows itself like that. It stays nearby. It hums a low note through seasons. Not loud enough to startle, but steady enough to be trusted. If guilt returns and claims the night, let it speak for a moment. Then say softly, "Not tonight." Place the thought aside. The phrase is not a denial. It is a boundary. The night has a job. Its work is repair, not relitigating a life. Repeat the restful breath. Let the cloak's weight comfort the shoulders. The reading points toward hope in small measures. Hope is not a loud promise that everything will change. No, it is a quiet assurance that small things continue to grow. Seeds under the ground do their work in darkness. The heart does the same. Night is not wasted time. It is a place where quiet growth happens. Trust that the darkness is not empty. It is fertile. Practice gratitude in tiny steps. Name one small act of kindness from the day. It may be brief. Hold it for a full inhale. Let it rest in the chest on the out-breath. Gratitude does not erase pain. It sits beside it and softens the shape. The cloak still covers both. If tears come, do not push them away. They are part of the night's gentle washing. Let them track down and leave their small passages on the face. The presence that loves knows each tear's name. There is no hurried fixing, only steady companionship. Remind the mind, nothing can finally separate us from this love. Not height, not depth, not the noise of tomorrow. That is the promise I read. It is a rope that reaches across doubt. It is a harbor that keeps a light on through wind. Feel the rope if you like. Lay a hand on it in the imagination. The grip is sure. It does not slip. When sleep comes, do not apologize for it. It is a gift. Receive it as such. If waking comes, Return to the breath and the image of the cloak. Practice the small ritual again. Place worries into the fold. Breathe. Let the heart accept care. I close this part with a brief invitation. Stay with the slow breathing. Keep the hand over the heart a little longer. Let the cloak's warmth settle. I will read more in the next part. For now, rest in the steady fact of being loved without condition. Let that truth be the pillow on which the night's head rests. The Bible rests warm on my knees. The room is quiet enough to hear the small creak of the chair. My voice is low. My aim is simple, to make space for letting go. Tonight the focus is guilt and grace. I bring them side by side, like two small objects on a table. One is heavy. One is offered. Guilt arrives as a tightness. It sits around the ribs like a coiled thread. It pulls at the breath. It replays mistakes and missed chances. The mind tends to hold it up close, like an item under a small lamp, inspecting it again and again. That close attention keeps the knot tight. Grace enters differently. It is a gift laid down without demand. It does not list faults. It meets the knot where it is and eases it with patience. I read a passage that speaks of such grace. I do not argue its cause. I let it be a simple promise. Undeserved help is here. The words land soft. They do not need to be argued into truth. They are offered to receive. Begin with a breath. Breathe in slow for 4 counts. Hold 1. Let the out-breath be for 6. This is an evening rhythm. The longer release teaches the body how to loosen. With each exhale, imagine the thread around the rib slackening by a fraction. No force, just a little room. Name the weight. Find one small sentence that captures what rests heavy. It might be one brief phrase. Say it once, softly, in the mind. Place that phrase on the tabletop of the imagination. Seeing it outside the head already changes the relationship. The piece is not swallowed whole anymore. It is an object to be handled. Picture the guilt like a spool of tangled thread. The spool is small but dense. The tangles snag on thought and make walking slow. Now imagine a pair of steady hands beside the spool. These hands do not blame. They simply begin to sort. A finger finds a loose end. A gentle tug smooths part of the knot. The motion is slow and patient. The hands do not pull so hard, the thread snaps. They do not discard the spool. They make order from the tangle. This is grace. It is the steady hand that does the unhurried untying. It does not pretend the spool was never tangled. It arranges the thread so it can be used again. Relief here is not sudden. It arrives in small, practical steps. A short practice helps. Take a small piece of paper if one is near. If not, hold the image in the mind. Write or think of a single regret. Fold the paper once. Do not try to solve the whole story. The fold is an act. It is an agreement that tonight is for rest. Place the folded note into an imagined wooden box. The box is neither flashy nor locked. It simply sits on a shelf in a quiet room. Close the lid without forcing it. Notice the shoulders. Notice the loosened jaw. The act of placing the thought into a container lets the hands stop clutching. If a physical box is near, the ritual can be real. If not, imagination is enough. Habit trains the hands and the heart. Small repeated acts create a muscle memory for mercy. There is another gentle image. Think of an old garment with a small tear. The fabric holds the stain of an old day. Grace acts like a seamstress who does not demand that the wearer explain every stain. She sits with needle and thread. She makes careful stitches that do not erase the history, but mend the hole so the fabric can be worn again. The repair is honest and tender. No shame is required to sit in the chair. The garment will look different. It will still be whole. Try a short body check while holding that image. Place a hand on the place where guilt feels tight. Feel the skin move under the palm. Breathe into that spot. Imagine warmth, like slow oil soaking into the weave. It reaches the tight places and loosens them a degree at a time. Keep the breath slow. Be patient with small changes. The body responds to the physical cue of attention. Grace also gives permission to rest without earning it. Rest is not a reward for fixing every fault. It is a needed pause, so the work of change can continue tomorrow. Repeat this phrase silently. I am allowed to rest. Say it once with the out-breath. Let it sit like a small stone placed on a shelf. There are practical edges to grace. It does not mean ignoring harm. It does not demand staying in unsafe places. Grace can coexist with boundaries. Forgiving a neighbor does not mean inviting harm back. The seamstress mends what can be mended and reinforces what needs protection. Mercy and prudence move together. This keeps the heart whole while also holding the line of safety. If the mind resists and insists, the burden must be carried tonight. Invite curiosity instead of argument. Ask, what happens if I set this down for 1 hour? The question is small. Try it. Place the burden in the imagined box. Sit with the emptier hands for a few breaths. Notice the tiny space that opens by not clutching. Often, guilt tightens not because it is morally superior, but because habit tells the hands to grip. Changing habit takes simple experiments. A soft practice for the evening name. 3 small things that do not vanish, even when mistakes are remembered. A warm cup. A short kindness from someone. A steady breath. Hold each like a seed. Place them beside the wooden box. Let them sit near the folded paper. These small goods do not erase wrongdoing. They create companions for the night. Grace also speaks in words of Scripture as a gentle invitation. When I read about mercy and being held, the language gives permission to stop arguing with the heart. Trust is a slow work. It may begin as an image, a small ritual, a breath pattern. Over time it becomes a posture. It helps to remember that releasing guilt is not full forgetting. It is a new stance. The memory may still come. When it does, notice it without making it a verdict. Recognize the thought. Name it. Return to the box. Place the thought in again. Repeat the breath. The practice is humble. It is patient with relapse. That patience is a part of grace. Companionship eases the work. If there is someone nearby, let a hand rest lightly on the shoulder. No words required. Physical presence often says mercy more plainly than language. If alone, imagine the steady hands again. Do not expect to prove the image. Receive it as a small kindness. If tears come, let them. They are a natural unbinding. They do not make the release invalid. Crying is part of the evening's wash. Each tear is a small letting go. Allow the face to be wet for a moment, and then rest. Before closing, a short breath practice to carry forward. Inhale, 4 counts. Hold 1. Exhale, 6. With each exhale, picture the imagined box getting lighter. Picture the hands winding the spool so the thread sits neat and ready. The small practices of tonight are not magic. They are training for the hands and the heart. The Bible closes softly in my lap. The lamp's glow narrows to a circle. The room holds a new quiet. The knot does not vanish entirely, but the tightness feels shifted. There is a small room now for grace to do its steady work. Accept the rest offered without feeling the need to repay tonight. If sleep comes, receive it as a grace. If wakefulness stays, return to the breath and the box. Repeat the simple acts. Tomorrow will ask for practical steps. Tonight only asks for mercy and a lighter hand. I will read again in the next part. For now, rest with the knowledge that guilt can be placed down, and grace will not let it fall into nothing. Grace holds it and tends it. Let the breathing slow, and let the heart learn this small, tender craft. Sure, a story of reconciliation, a close. I sit with the Bible again. The lamp makes a small pool of light. Outside, night moves slow and sure. I intend tonight to speak of reconciliation. I mean the kind that eases the chest, the kind that does not need loud apologies, the kind that rests in grace. I begin with a simple truth I have read before. We are saved by grace, not by our works. That line is a soft landing. It asks the hands to unclench. It tells the heart that earning is not the only path. It allows room for mercy to arrive without a performance. Reconciliation does not always look like a grand scene. Sometimes it is a quiet step across a threshold. Sometimes it is a small return of what was taken. I tell a story that sits in my memory. It is short and ordinary. It has kept me gentle on hard nights. Once, many years back, a friend and I drifted apart. The drift was slow. It began with small slights. It widened with quiet resentments. Words happened that neither had time to mend. The days pressed on. Life made separate islands. The memory of that distance felt heavy. It lodged at the ribs like an old stone. One evening, I find a folded note on my doorstep. The handwriting is spare. There are no accusations. There is only an invitation to tea at the old pier. The pier is a place that remembers us both. It knows how to hold 2 sets of feet without rushing them to speak. I go. The walk there is short. The river keeps its patient sound. A small breeze lifts the edge of my coat. My palms feel a slight tremble. I imagine the old spool of tangled thread, the one I wrote about before. The thought of showing that spool to somebody scares me. It might fray further. It might find a hand that will not bail it out. At the pier, the friend sits with a thermos and 2 plain mugs. No words are asked. A silence stretches that is not empty. It is held. We drink. The mugs are warm. The steam fogs for a moment and then clears. In that clearing, the first small admission slips out. It is short. It does not pin a verdict. It names a regret and then rests. We do not trade long apologies as if they were tickets to be cashed. We practice listening. Listening is its own kind of work. It does not fix everything. It opens a space for truth to land. In that space, the old spool becomes less scary. A hand takes a loose end. A patient finger teases the knot. The motion is careful. It is not frantic. It is more like someone following a pattern that time has taught them. We do not negotiate a full solution then. We accept one small thing, a promise to try again in the morning. The promise is not performance. It is a willingness to return. That willingness carries as much weight as a long speech. Reconciliation often grows in these tiny steps. It is not a sudden erasure. It can be a steady thinning of the knot. Some stones drop into the river that night. Others are carried away by slow conversation in the months to come. The important part is the initial release. That first small letting go makes future steps possible. I remind the room of the scripture I hold near. Grace is not the reward of flawless living. It is an offering. It arrives like a cup placed at the lips. It does not count splinters before it heals. That truth means I do not need to earn every act of reconciliation. I can receive help while still being imperfect. The gift of that permission is a soft thing. It loosens the jaw. It frees the hands to make small repairs. A short practice goes well here. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 1. Exhale for 6. On the out-breath, imagine placing one small regret into a wooden bowl at your feet. Watch the regret. Sit in the wood. Feel how the shoulders release a degree. Repeat with another breath. Let the bowl fill. Let its presence reassure you that not everything must be carried by muscle and worry. Reconciliation also needs honesty. It thrives where boundaries hold. The peer story is gentle because both of us keep safety as a quiet guard. Forgiveness did not mean that any harmful pattern must continue. It meant naming what felt safe and what did not. Mercy did not ask us to forget. It asked us to face what needed to change. There is a different kind of reconciliation that is inward. Sometimes the hardest person to reconcile with is the self. Guilt sits heavy. The habit of replaying mistakes is persistent. Grace meets this by reminding us of the main truth. We are not saved by our own works. This frees the inner hand to unclench. It permits rest. I practice a brief inward reconciliation now. Place a hand over the heart. Feel the warm beat beneath. Name one thing you regret. Say it quietly in the mind. Do not build an argument. Do not demand an immediate fix. Offer the thing to grace, as one might slide a small pebble into the palm of a strong friend. The friend holds it carefully. The pebble does not define the person. It is one small thing among many. If the thought persists, return to the breath. Bring it back to the wooden bowl on the floor. Place the pebble there again, and breathe. Let the practice be gentle. It is not a one-time cure. It is a repeated handing that trains the hands to let go. Reconciliation with another and reconciliation within the self often travel together. When I allow mercy to find me, I have more room to offer it. When I stop demanding that every scar be erased by midnight, I can take small, practical steps to mend. The work is patient. It grows in increments. A short scene from the pier follows. The friend and I stand. When the river catches the last light, we pick up 2 small stones. We do not speak of grand absolution. Instead, we gently toss the stones into the water together. The splash is not loud. It is exact. The stones sink and settle with the current. We watch them go. A small breath of relief passes between us. The night is still. The path home feels a degree lighter. I do not promise that all ulcers will close after such a night. Sometimes wounds need more care. Sometimes trust returns slowly or with starts. But the small acts of letting go and of receiving grace make the next steps plausible. They keep the hands from holding too tight. Practice now a soft imagining. See yourself at a small table with a lamp. Across from you sits someone you owe a word to. Or perhaps it is only you. Between you is a cup of tea. The light is low. You do not need to argue your value. You simply sit. You try an honest phrase. You offer one small willingness to try again. The other hand takes the offered word. The meeting may be brief. It may end with a promise to return. That is enough for the night. Remember the main line I hold. Close grace is not reward. It is gift. Let the fact that you are not required to earn mercy be a balm tonight. Let it be permission to loosen your grip and to rest. Place one more pebble into the imagined bowl. Feel the hands at last a little empty. Notice the space where breath lengthens. Notice how the chest can open to a small measure. If tears come, let them. If silence stays, sit in it. Both can be part of reconciliation. Mercy sometimes arrives as a quiet presence rather than as a declaration. Trust that presence. Trust the small acts of return. I close this part with a short exercise. Breathe in for 4. Hold 1. Breathe out for 6. On the out-breath, say in the mind, I rest in grace. Let the phrase be a soft rope. Use it when the mind pulls heavy. Repeat the breath and the phrase 3 times. Let the word settle like a soft cloth across the shoulders. The lamp dims a fraction. The river beyond the window keeps its steady move. I fold the memory of the pier gently into the pocket of the night. Reconciliation is not a final thing. It is a practice. It begins with letting go and with accepting a gift you do not earn. Rest in that truth tonight. I will read again soon. For now, let the breath lengthen. Let the heart accept what cannot be earned and what is freely given. Let the small work of mending begin quietly in sleep. I set the Bible gently on my knees. The lamp draws a small, warm circle on the page. The room leans in with a hush. Tonight I come to words that ask the anxious to breathe differently. They invite us to bring needs and thanks together. They promise a peace that keeps watch. I remember a friend who once walked a slow road toward reconciliation. Prayer was the soft map. It was not a single moment. It was many small acts. Each night they chose to name a worry and then name a grace. They did not bargain. They offered both things at once. The first time I heard them tell it, Their voice was quiet. The change in them was not dramatic. It was steady. Their shoulders dropped a degree. Their sleep deepened bit by bit. Their story is a simple echo of the promise I read. Now bring requests with thankfulness, and peace will keep the heart and mind. I do not read the verse aloud as a line of argument. I let it be an invitation. The language asks only for a practice. It asks that worry be turned toward prayer, and that prayer be shaped by thanks. The result is a peace that does a guarding work. I picture that peace like a gentle sentinel. It does not shout. It lights a lamp and stays near. Begin with a breath. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 1. Breathe out for 6. Let the longer out-breath be the place where burden loosens. Keep this rhythm as you listen. Let it match the slow cadence of the words I place beside you. I suggest a small ritual. Take a scrap of paper. If you are lying down, imagine the page in your hands. On one side, name a single worry. Keep it brief. On the other side, write one thing you are grateful for today. It may be small. A warm cup, a kind phrase, a steady footstep. Then fold the paper once. Place it into a bowl near you. The bowl will not fix the world. It will be a physical practice that trains the hands to move worry into the same space as thanks. Prayer, as I read it now, is not a performance. It is a handing over. It is a way of saying, here is this thing I carry. Thank you for this small mercy you have shown. You do not earn the response. You offer the shape of the night. The mind often resists. It insists that everything must be held tight. Try instead this gentle exchange. The hands learn a new motion name. Thank. Lay down. Imagine the peace that follows. Do not expect fireworks. Expect a quiet steward. The peace stands by like a watchman on a low wall. It does not erase memory. It steadies the beating heart. It keeps the mind from spinning into the dark. Picture it as a lamp lit in an adjacent room. Its light keeps the corridor soft. You can move without the fear of stumbling. The guard is not a judge. It is a presence that calms the chest. Now place a hand on the sternum. Feel the rise and fall beneath. With each in-breath, gather one small worry into the palm. With each out-breath, say quietly in your mind a word of thanks for something small. Feel how the chest expands slightly more on the out-breath. Let the practice be simple and repeated. This pairing trains the heart to trust that needs and graces can exist together. I tell the story of my friend because it is not unusual. People change slowly when they practice this habit. A day of naming and thanking becomes a night of lighter shoulders. The friend did not erase all hurt. They made room for peace to do steady work. Or team. The guarding peace seemed less foreign, and more like a companion on the pillow. The body helps the mind learn this exchange. Do a short body scan now. With slow breaths, begin at the scalp. Soften the forehead. Drop the eyelids a little. Ease the jaw. Let the tongue rest. Let the neck release its hold. Shoulders roll down 3 small degrees. Arms feel heavier. Hands open. Let the ribs widen just enough to let the breath deepen. Soften the belly. Let the hips find a new ease. Knees, relax. Feet, let go of the floor. The peace that guards the mind is felt first in the loosened body. Sometimes, the gift of thanksgiving feels thin when trouble is large. That is understandable. Start where you can. A single small gratitude matters. A short sentence is enough. Gratitude is not a denial of harm. It simply remembers that good can be present even in hard seasons. The practice is an honest witness. It does not replace pain. It stands beside it. Allow imagery to settle now. Picture a shore at dusk. Small waves come and go in a slow, steady pulse. Each incoming wave is like a worry that touches the sand. Each outgoing wave takes something away. Between the waves lies a strip of sand that stays. It is a place where footprints are kept for a while, and then softened. The peace given by prayer works like that tide. It does not sweep everything at once. It nudges and evens the ground. You can step there without fear. Name one worry softly in the mind. Give it a brief title. Then name one small thing to be grateful for. Put them together in the heart like two objects on a shelf. Look at them both. Hold them both. Hand the pair to the imagined guardian of peace. See the hands of that guardian receive them without surprise. Notice the change in your posture. Notice the small lengthening of breath. If sleep resists, repeat the practice. Fold another scrap. Place another thought in the bowl. Each small act trains the hands and the heart. Habits are formed by gentle repetition, not by force. Let each night be a practice. The promise is gradual. The guarding peace grows familiar with time. There is also a permission in these words. You do not have to have polished prayers. A few sincere words are enough. You do not have to hide your doubt. Name it. Then offer a thank you for one small mercy. The pair of honesty and thanks opens a door for the peace to enter. I keep my voice low so the room can lean with me. The lamp stays a small witness. The bowl on the bedside is a gentle tool. The scraps of paper are not powerful by themselves. They are exercises for the hands. The practice trains the body to act when the mind resists. Practice one last breath with me. Inhale, easy for 4 counts. Hold a moment. Exhale long for 6. On the out-breath, imagine a gentle hand taking your folded scrap. Hear the soft thud as it rests in the bowl. Feel the shoulders drop a measure. Let the mind know it is allowed to pause. Let the peace that guards the heart and mind stand near tonight. I close the book lightly for a moment and keep the lamp low. The promise of guarding peace is not a quick fix. It is a presence that stays. When you wake, remember the small ritual. When worries return, pair them with a small thanks. Hand them over slowly. Let the peace continue its quiet work. If sleep comes, accept it as part of the gift. If wakefulness remains, return to the bowl. The breath, the image of the guardian on the low wall. Repeat the small acts. My voice remains here with you. I will read again soon. For now, rest in the soft watching of peace and in the gentle practice of bringing needs and thanks together. The Bible rests open in my lap. The lamp paints a warm circle on the page. The room breathes with a slow hush. Tonight the focus is simple. Gratitude as a foundation for rest. I practiced gratitude like a small craft. It became a quiet bit. Not a long list, not a performance. A few honest notes each night. The practice taught the body to loosen. The mind learned a kinder rhythm. Begin where the hands are. Place a palm over the chest. Feel the rib cage rise and fall. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 1. Breathe out for 6. Let the longer out-breath let something go. Keep this breath as a steady metronome while the rest follows. Name 3 small things that felt kind today. Keep them narrow. A cup that warmed cold fingers. A door held open. A breath that finally slowed. Say each one once in the mind. Let the words be short and plain. No need to make them grand. Smallness helps the body believe. Hold each kindness like a stone. Turn it in the palm of thought. Notice texture. Notice the weight. Let the gratitude sit there without needing to change anything else. Gratitude does not erase pain. It sits beside the ache and softens the outline. If a pen is near, write the 3 things on small slips. Fold them once. Place them into a jar or a shallow bowl. The physical motion matters. Hands that move in ritual teach the body a new muscle memory. The jar is not a tally. It is a gentle archive of mercy. Imagine the jar on a low shelf. It glows in the lamp's circle. Each folded slip is a small lamp inside it. Over time, the jar fills with soft light. When nights feel heavy, the jar can be opened like a small porch door. Take out a single slip and read it again. The heart remembers what it might otherwise forget. Savor one memory slowly. Close the eyes if that feels safe. Return to the moment. What did it smell like? What did the air feel on the skin? How did the chest respond? Let the senses gather small details. Savoring stretches the moment and allows the body to taste calm. A short practice follows, with the breath pattern steady. Imagine a lantern in the chest. It is warm and small. With each inhale, the lantern brightens a bit. With each exhale, the light settles and spreads. Let gratitude be the fuel for that light. Watch how the lantern makes the next small step in front of you plain. Gratitude can be offered as prayer. Keep the words spare. Name a need. Name a grace. Offer both like placing 2 small objects into the hands of a friend. The voice does not have to sound impressive. The practice of handing over matters more than rhetorical flourish. Hold the scripture image in the mind. Passages that ask for thanksgiving feel like a gentle nudge. They do not demand perfection. They invite noticing. The ear hears better than the eye in the late hour. I read slowly so the words can settle without hurry. If memory brings sharp things back, place them briefly on the table of thought. Notice them. Then return to the jar. The lantern. The 3 kindnesses. This back and forth is patient. It does not pretend pain is gone. It simply gives the heart a balanced feel. Light and shadow together make a real room. A small ritual helps after naming. Fold the paper and tuck it beneath a book. Let the hand rest on the cover for a few breaths. The palm warms the paper. That warmth is a small witness that kindness passed through the body and was received. The act cements the memory in muscle and skin. Gratitude also works in movement. If lying still is hard, stand for a moment. Stretch the arms overhead. Turn slowly toward the window. Let the spine elongate. Say one grateful phrase in the mind with each gentle bend. Movement loosens what quiet alone cannot. Teach the mind a brief sentence to carry. Mine is simple, small mercies matter. Repeat it 3 times on the out-breath. Let the words act as a guardrail for a racing thought. The sentence is not a cure. It is a gentle fence that keeps worry from rushing the room. If sleep resists, try a gratitude. Walk in the imagination. Picture a short path lined with low stones. Each stone is one thing you name. Walk with a lamp in your hand. Stop at each stone. Place the palm on it. Feel its coolness. Say thank you. The imagined walk prepares the body for real rest. Keep the vocabulary plain. Avoid abstract phrases that demand thinking. Use tactile images, warmth. Cup. Door. Stone. Breath. The body responds to touch and shape more easily than to argument. Let the ear receive these images like a slow song. Gratitude also helps repair the heart's ledger. When shame claims the night, place a counterweight beside it. A single kindness can change the balance by degrees. Do not expect a sudden erasure. Expect subtle shifts. Those shifts are enough for sleep to begin. Invite one act of kindness for tomorrow. Nothing large. A short note. A call. A walk to the corner. Plant a small intention as a seed. Writing it down beside the jar gives the night a forward-facing breath. Hope grows in small tasks. Tend it gently. If tears come, welcome them. They are part of the washing. Let them run without argument. Combine them with a named gratitude. A tear and a grateful thought can sit on the same palm. This is not contradictory. It is whole. When lying down, place a hand over the jar in the imagination. Let its light press softly against the ribs. Feel the steadying. If the mind stirs, take one slip out in thought and read it. Let the short sentence guide the breath back to its calm pace. Remember that gratitude does not mean ignoring need. It means holding need with a softer hand. Give thanks for what is true. Ask plainly for what is wanted. The two together form a quiet bridge. Walk it slowly. A final practice now. Breathe in for 4. Hold 1. Breathe out for 6. Name 3 small mercies on the in-breath. Place them into the imagined jar on the out-breath. Feel the chest lighten by a fraction. Repeat until fingers loosen their grip on the day. Let the lamp dim a degree. The Bible rests in the lap. The jar of small light sits near the bedside in the mind. Mercy remains near. Hope holds its steady pace. Sleep is allowed, not earned. When the eyes close, do not chase sleep aggressively. Let the practice be a soft pillow. If wakefulness returns, return to the breath and the jar. Read a slip. Hold a stone. Breathe again. The habit is gentle and repeatable. I will read more in the next part. For now, allow small mercies to settle. Let gratitude build the foundation for rest. Rest in the lamp's thin circle. Receive the night's work like a friend who quietly repairs. I remain here, steady and soft, until sleep arrives. The Bible lies open across my hands. The lamp keeps a soft circle on the page. I read slowly tonight, because the night listens. My choice is a quiet verse that has guided many evenings. It speaks of lying down in peace and of dwelling in safety. I do not recite it like a lecture. I offer it like a small lamp. I let the words rest between us. They do not promise a life without trouble. They promise a night held by steadiness. Imagine that steadiness as a slow shore. The tide still moves. The shore keeps its shape. That is the kind of promise I mean. It does not make every storm vanish. It makes a place to set a foot. Breathe with me. In for 4. Hold for 1. Out for 6. The longer out-breath helps the body accept the image of rest. Each exhale lets a little more tension go. The breath becomes a small proof that the body can follow the mind toward calm. I speak now of safety. It is not always loud. It is not always obvious. Safety can feel like a thin roof over a small bed. It does not boast. It simply shelters. When I place the verse in the mind, I think of that roof. The hands that built it did not promise a palace. They promised shelter enough for sleep. Let that be enough for tonight. The invitation to lie down in peace is practical. Lay the head on the pillow. Adjust the blanket 1 notch. Let the jaw soften. Let the shoulders roll down. Small physical moves make the heart believe the mind. The body takes cues from touch and posture. Teach the muscles tonight to receive rest. If worry comes, give it a small task. Name it. Give it a time. I often tell the mind hold that worry until dawn, and then review it with fresh eyes. The mind resists at first. It wants to keep its list close. Practice is gentle. It requires repetition. The first few nights, the hand may lift a clutch. Over team. The act of naming and setting a time trains the fingers to relax. Picture a house with a small lantern in the window. The light is not bright. It only shows the next step. Outside may be wind. Inside is warmth. The lamp is not a solution. It is a sign. It says there is a place to return to. Let this image be the night's anchor. When thought races, return to the lantern. Let it steady the next breath. I teach a short practice of surrender. Hold a small, imagined bag at the feet of the bed. Inside are the day's sharp edges. Take 1 item from that bag. Look at it without blame. Breathe in. Hand it into an imagined pair of capable hands beside the bed. Notice the sensation when the shoulders drop. Sometimes the body does not trust the hands right away. That is expected. Try the exchange a few more times. Trust grows by small repetitions. Rest also needs permission. The world often equates worth with doing. Night is not a place to prove merit. It is a place to be tended. Say to the heart, rest is given. Not earned. Let the phrase land without argument. The simplest way to accept it is to act on it. Turn off a light. Close a screen. Fold the day's list away. These small acts are tokens of permission. A brief body scan helps. Begin at the scalp. Soften the forehead. Ease the muscles around the eyes. Let the jaw loosen. Trace down the neck. Allow the shoulders to fall a fraction. Move down the arms. Let the hands open like a quiet cup. Bring attention to the chest. Notice the breath without forcing it. Let the belly soften. Release the thighs, the knees, the calves, the feet. The scan asks no speed. It only asks attention and tenderness. I read the verse again in the mind. In peace, I will lie down and sleep. For the one who cares makes dwelling safe. Those words are not a rule for immediate sleep. They are an orientation. They ask the heart to turn toward trust instead of toward vigil. Imagine trust as a slow chair. It takes on weight gently. Sit in it for a moment. Gratitude fits well with this promise. Before eyes close, name one small good from the day. A warm cup, a brief kindness, a steady breath. Let the memory sit like a tiny stone in the palm. Turn it over. Feel its texture. A single small gratitude often does more to soften the night than a long list that demands thought. Offer a short oral prayer if that feels right. It need not be elaborate. Say 1 or 2 sentences aloud or in the mind. Hand the day over in a single motion. The act of speaking seals the movement from clutching to handing. If words fail, a quiet intention will do. The intention is enough to teach the hands a new habit. Sometimes sleep does not come despite practice. When that happens, do not make failure a fault. Change posture instead. Sit for a few breaths. Read a short, gentle passage. Return to the breath. The night has many ways to invite rest. Persistence with tenderness is the best approach. Safety also means boundary. Rest can be offered even when relationships are strained. Saying yes to sleep does not mean erasing needed change. It simply allows the body a chance to repair. A clear mind tomorrow can face practical steps with more steadiness. Lengthy navigation is for the light of morning. Night is for healing. I tell a small memory here. Once, after a long season of noise, I lie down at dusk and hear the house breathe with me. The lamp on the table makes a small pool. A faint wind lifts the curtain. I feel like a child who is allowed to leave a difficult toy aside. The permission to pause feels sacred. It is not dramatic. It is quiet and exact. That memory teaches me how to accept nightly rest. Now, if fear presses, name it in a single sentence and set it aside in the imagined bag. Then return to the lamp image. Fear can be a visitor. It does not have to move in. Give it hospitality for a short time. Then close the door gently. The practice is not harsh. It is a kind training for the mind. Faith and rest are companions here. Faith is not a way to prove that sleep will always come. It is a trust that comes when the hands practice handing over. Each night of small surrender builds confidence. The spirit aligns with peace, not in a single event, but in repeated choices to lay burdens down. I will read a few short lines now, letting silence hold the meaning between each. Pause with the breath. Let the images settle. Let the chest find a slower rhythm. These quiet pauses are the night's work. They do not demand action. They invite presence. Before I close this part, Try a final practice. Place a hand over the heart. Take 3 slow breaths. On the last exhale, offer one small phrase of thanks. Let the phrase be a bridge between day and night. Do not judge its weight. Let it be what it is, a small token placed into the hand of the one who keeps watch. The lamp dims a little more. The Bible rests. Warm and familiar, I remain here a while. Steady and quiet. Sleep may come. It may not. Either way. The night is doing its slow work. Trust the promise that rest is given. Trust that safety is near. When the eyes grow heavy, let them close without hurry. If wakefulness returns, return to the breath and the lamp and the small bag at the bedside. Repeat the gentle exchanges. I will read again in the next part. For now, lie down in peace and know a careful presence keeps the room and the heart. Shizu, the power of a peaceful mindset. I find that immersing myself in passages of comfort changes more than the hours. It changes the shape of the night inside the chest. The same words arrive again and again, but each time they do a different work. They teach a new posture. They teach a peaceful mind. I sit with the Bible on my lap. The lamp is lower than before. The paper smells faintly of ink and quiet. I choose short passages that settle like soft cloth. I do not look for answers so much as for a way to be gentler with myself. The reading becomes a practice of mind. It trains the ear and the hands. A peaceful mindset is not an absence of thought. It is a way of holding thought that asks less of the muscles and more of the breath. Thoughts still appear. They tap at the window. I do not slam the shutter. I let them pass like slow clouds. Watch them move. Do not hold them at the edge of the eye. Let them drift. I teach a small exercise often. Name one thought. Give it a brief label, and then imagine placing that label on a small cloud. Watch the cloud float across a wide sky in the mind. The cloud does not need to be chased. It moves on with the air. The act of naming and releasing is a simple skill. It calms the muscles of worry. Breath is the companion for this work. Breathe in for 3 counts. Hold a breath that is quiet. Release for 6 counts. The exhale is generous. It is a letting. The body learns to expect longer out-breaths. Over time, the mind follows. Mindfulness, without harshness, helps. Notice a tight thought. Notice a soft feeling of unease. Tell it without argument, here is this. Then return to a small phrase that acts like a tether. My phrase is gentle, held, and tended. Say it once. Softly. Let the words sit in the space behind the teeth. The phrase is not a proof. It is a small anchor. I choose readings that escort the mind rather than lecture it. A short psalm. A tender promise. A tiny story of care. I read with pauses between lines. In the pauses, I let the meaning sink into the bone. The silence holds the words so they can be met in the body, not just in the head. Visualization can be direct and brief. Picture a simple basket woven with wide strands. Place one worry into the basket. Do not stuff it. Lay it gently. Feel the hand that sets it down. Notice the weight. Leave the shoulder. The basket sits at the foot of the bed. It is not a lesson in forgetting. It is a safe place to set the things that tend to crowd the night. Try a short body check now. Ease the forehead. Let the muscles of the face soften by a few degrees. Drop the tongue in the mouth. Relax the neck. Let the shoulders roll back and down. The air moves in and out without effort. Small shifts like these instruct the nervous system. They teach the body that the night is permitted to be lighter. A peaceful mindset welcomes small rituals. A folded blanket. A cup set in a steady place. The act of preparing a small space is a prayer that needs no words. It tells the hands that the day is boxed away for a while. The mind recognizes the gesture and leans toward rest. I often ask the listener to try an imagery that is very gentle. Imagine a quiet attic with a single window. A beam of moonlight lies across an old trunk. Inside the trunk are the day's sharp items, each wrapped in soft cloth. Close the trunk lid. Hear its small click. The click signals a boundary. The items remain inside. The room is still. The chest is closed for the night. Scripture helps by offering images that the heart can carry. It speaks of shelter and bread and steady hands. These images are not philosophical. They are plain. The ear receives them like a patient voice beside the bed. I let those images land slowly. I pause. I breathe. I let the words do a soft work on the muscles around the ribs. The practice of gratitude pairs well with a peaceful mind. Not a long list. 3 small things. Say them gently. A warm cup. A brief kindness. A steady breath. Name each once. Let them sit like coins in the palm. Turning these small goods over in thought changes, where the mind searches for proof of care. Be gentle with the inner critic. It learned habits of vigilance for good reasons. It thinks scolding will keep danger away. Thank it for trying. Then return the task of guarding to a calmer watch. Tell the mind I hear you. Rest now. The phrase is simple and firm. It does not silence the critic. It redirects its energy into a quieter role. When worry comes in waves, give it a short place and a short time. Allow 5 minutes of focused attention, then a gentle stop. This is not avoidance. It is training. The mind learns that some trouble can be looked at in the light of morning. Night is for mending the body, not for solving every knot. I read passages that remind the heart of steady presence. I do not demand understanding. I offer the images and the ear. The words teach a new grammar for thought. They suggest that a single night can be held by a faithful hand, even when the calendar the next day is full. Believing that does not solve labor. It steadies the worker. Another small practice: hold a soft phrase on the out-breath. Mine is short. Here I am safe. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, and speak the phrase quietly. Repeat 3 times. The repetition is not magical. It trains a pathway in the nervous system. It teaches the breath to carry reassurance. Sleep sometimes refuses to arrive despite all care. When that happens, change modalities. Sit up for a few minutes. Read a few lines from scripture aloud. The sound of slow speech carries a different weight. It clocks the body with a slower rhythm. Return to the bed when the eyes have grown heavy. Forgiveness sits beside a peaceful mindset. Let the mind try forgiving small things first. A clumsy remark, a forgot and task. These are not trivial. They are teachable moments. Forgiveness does not demand a full reconciliation. It asks only for a single act of release. Lay it down. Watch the shoulders soften. Companionship matters. If another person shares the house, let the presence be felt. If alone, imagine a familiar, steady figure on the other side of the room. The presence need not speak. It simply sits and lets silence be company. Scripture often offers this kind of company. Hear the voice and let it be a companion. There will be nights when the mind loops and the heart tightens. Return to the breath. Return to the small anchor phrase. Let the lamp of a single image guide the next step. The attic trunk, the woven basket, a single coin of gratitude. These small things accumulate into a steady posture over weeks. Mindset is also about permission. Permit the body to rest. Permit the mind to be imperfect. Permit the heart to hold more than one feeling. Grief and gratitude can sit next to each other. Anxiety and hope can share a small bench. Allow the bench to hold them both. The night makes room. The power of a peaceful mindset is patient. It is not loud. It is methodical. It comes from repeated small acts, choicely read words, a long out-breath, a named worry set down, a remembered kindness, a brief phrase spoken softly. These acts train the mind to expect steadiness. I read aloud a few careful lines now. The voice slows. Each pause is a rest. The phrases float into the room like small lanterns. Let each lantern catch on the ribs a bit. Let the soft light move across the shoulders. There is no hurry for results. The task is the practice. If tears come, let them. If quiet comes, sit with it. Both are parts of the night's work. The peaceful mind does not force feelings to be tidy. It welcomes them and arranges them gently. Over time, the habit of gentleness grows stronger than the habit of urgent worry. Before I close this part, try a short doubling of 2 practices. Breathe in for 3 counts. Hold. Breathe out for 6. On the out breath, name 1 worry and place it into the basket. On the next out breath, name 1 small gratitude and lay it beside the basket. Repeat twice more. Let the motions be slow. Let the chest learn the rhythm. I fold the Bible lightly at the page. The lamp casts a small arc of light on the table. The room listens. The peaceful mindset does not promise perfect dreams. It promises practice that tilts the night toward rest. It promises steadiness offered in small measures. When the eyes grow heavy, close them without haste. If wakefulness returns later, use the same gentle tactics. Breathe, name, place, repeat. I will read again in the next part. For now, allow the mind to learn the soft art of being tended. Let the night keep its quiet work. I open the Bible and let the lamp rest on the page. The room is quiet. The book feels familiar in the hands. Tonight, the thought I bring is simple. Jeremiah 2:9-1. One speaks of plans that hold hope and a future. I do not offer a proof. I offer an image and a steady voice. Trust looks different at night. It is not a leap. It is a small hand laid on a compass. The compass may not show every road. It shows a direction. The promise is like that. A path is suggested. Not all steps revealed. That is enough for tonight. Picture a folded map. The map is old around the edges. Parts of it are smudged. The road beyond the village is a thin line. The place you will sleep tomorrow is not circled. Still. A gentle hand opens the map and smooths the crease. The hand does not pretend to redraw the world. It only points to the next waypoint. Let that image settle. The act of looking at the map calms the fingers that have been gripping worry. Breathe with me now. In for 3. Hold that quiet moment. Out for 6. The exhale is slow and soft. Count each breath without hurry. With every out-breath, imagine the compass in the map case, finding a steady north. The needle moves and then rests. Trust often looks like that small movements until steadiness returns. Trusting God's plan does not mean every fear vanishes. It means someone knows the shape of the road, even when the eyes cannot see every turn. The knowledge is not always loud. It arrives as a hand at the elbow. It is a presence that steadies while the next day is unknown. That presence walks beside the one who carries these pages in the lap. Think of a seamstress at twilight. The light is dim, but her hands are practiced. She stitches one square to another. The quilt will be large enough to cover a long winter. Each patch is different. Some are bright. Some are worn soft. The pattern is not made in a single moment. It is sewn with many small stitches. The future can be pictured like that quilt. Each small day becomes a square. The whole design is held together by a steady hand. Try a short practice for entrusting the future. Take a small scrap of thought in the mind. Name one future worry, an uncertain step, a choice to be made, a person to pray for. Keep it single and brief. Imagine writing that worry on a small square of cloth. Fold the cloth into a neat square. Place it in the seamstress's palm. Feel the softness of the fabric. Notice how the hands know how to fold and tuck. The act is not magic. It is a small training for the heart. Place a palm over the chest and breathe as before. In for 3. Hold. Out for 6. With each out-breath, imagine the seamstress stowing the cloth into the quilt's fold. She does not hide the stitch. She honors it by setting it within the whole pattern. The worry does not vanish. It is included. It is cared for. Another image helps. Imagine a trail marked by small milestone stones. Each stone is a day. Walk slowly from stone to stone. Look only at the next marker. Notice the texture underfoot. The sky does not reveal the whole horizon. Walk by that small beam of light. When fear says the path must be all seen at once, reply gently with the next step. The practice of taking one small step at a time trains the mind to trust the plan that is unfolding. The Bible tonight invites this kind of quiet confidence. The words point toward a future that is built not on frantic control, but on faithful motion. That faith is not a demand. It is a habit. It forms when the hands learn to fold the night's small scraps into a larger design. The practice is slow and gentle. If insecurity starts to crowd the room, give it a place and a time. Name the worry and set a small hour in the morning to look at it again with fresh light. For now, allow the lamp to be low. Let the present moment hold the map and the compass. Keep the list of tomorrow folded in a safe pocket for a little while. The trust pictured in these pages often takes shape in small acts. A plan is not the same as certainty. A plan is a pattern to move within. It asks for cooperation, not control. That cooperation looks like carrying a small satchel of intentions and handing it over with a quiet phrase. The phrase need be nothing more than a breath and a letting go. There is no need for long speeches. The hands learn quicker than the mind. Try this. Imagine a small satchel beside the bed. Into it place one small plan. It could be a note about tomorrow's task. Fold it neatly and slide it into the mouth of the satchel. Close the drawstring. Now picture setting the satchel on a shelf. The shelf is steady. It is not far away. It is within reach for morning, for tonight. However, the satchel rests. The act trains the body to trust. The plans can wait until the light returns. Trust grows by repetition. It is like rehearsing a calm step until the step becomes natural. Or team. The satchel will be placed there without panic. The map will be viewed with a softer gaze. The compass will be consulted and then set down. That repeated motion forms a habit of faith that steadies nights. Do not mistake trust for passivity. Action and planning still belong to the day. Trust simply changes the posture with which action is undertaken. Plans may be made. Preparations can be gentle. The difference at night is a willingness to accept that not everything depends on tonight's hands. That willingness is a small mercy. If the mind seeks proof, offer it a gentle task. Ask it to list 3 small signs of care from the day. They need not be grand. A warm meal, a brief smile, a helpful hand. Let these small signs be evidence that the path has already been attended. They are the trail markers that suggest the map is sensible. Hold them like pebbles in the palm for a single breath. The season of waiting is not empty. It is a place where growth continues under the earth. Trust the slow work. Seeds germinate without the eyes watching. Plans take shape behind the scenes. The quiet night is part of that hidden progress. Let its hush be trusted. If doubt still presses, speak a short sentence. In the mind, I am accompanied. Say it once on the out-breath. Feel the shoulders drop a measure. Repeat if needed. The sentence is not a proof against every fear. It is an anchor when the sea gets rough. The hope in Scripture is not always a promise of immediate clarity. It is a steady orientation toward a good that will unfold. Picture the horizon not as a demand to be mastered, but as a place to walk toward with a trusted compass. Each step matters. Each night of small surrender trains the feet for the morning. I fold the map in my mind. The lamp remains low. The compass rests in its case. The seamstress's stitches are steady. The satchel sits on the shelf. These images are not answers. They are invitations to practice a trusting posture tonight. Before I close, breathe again. In for 3. Hold. Out for 6. With the last out-breath, imagine the compass resting in the hand of one who knows the whole route. Feel a small lightness in the chest. If sleep comes, accept it without guilt. If wakefulness stays, return to the small satchel, the folded map, the seamstress's hands. Practice quietly. Practice again. I will read again in the next part. For now, let the future rest in steady hands. Let the night do its quiet work of shaping hope. The lamp stays low. The map is folded. Trust is a small step taken at a time. Rest intuit. The Bible rests warm on my knees. The lamp is small. Its circle of light feels like an embrace. I open gently to a passage I return to at the close of many nights. Tonight the words are a benediction. They are built to be received as blessing, not as argument. I read them not to prove, but to place a calm hand on the shoulder of the evening. I read slowly. I let each phrase fall like a soft pebble into still water. The priestly blessing rises in the room. I do not recite it quickly. Each line has room to land. The tone is low. The voice is careful. The aim is simple. May you be held. May you be seen. May you know peace. Hear the blessing as I speak it, in a plain way. May God bless and keep you. May the face of God shine upon you and be gracious to you. May a steady presence turn toward you and give you peace. The words are not a test. They are an offered shelter. They do not require proof to do their work. They are a gift to be received or to be left for another time. Settle now. Place one hand on the chest. Feel the steady rise and fall beneath the palm. Breathe with me. In for 3. Hold a quiet beat. Out for 6. Let the out-breath be longer and softer. With each exhale, imagine the blessing moving a little closer. Let it settle where the breath touches the ribs. Imagine light like a morning dew. It rests on the shoulders first. The dew is warm. It softens the fibers of worry. It slides down the back and into the base of the neck. The muscles there unclench by a degree. Keep the breath slow. Watch the small loosening happen in the body. This is the work of blessing. It does not hurry. It makes room. Think of a small bowl of water on the table. Into it I place a single phrase from the passage. The phrase is enough to change a posture you are blessed and kept. Now imagine placing your hand into that bowl. The water is not cold. It is steady. Fingers that once gripped tight loosen. The heart finds a softer rhythm. The lamp throws a warm ribbon across the ceiling. The night listens. Blessing works both outward and inward. It speaks into relationships and into skin. It asks for the face of God to shine upon what is close and what is hidden. Let the image of a light touch remind the mind that care often looks small. It comes as a shine on the cheekbone, as a word that does not need to be clever, as a touch that steadies the elbow. Accept these small forms tonight. If worry rises, give it a name and a place. Put the thought into a small paper and fold it once. Place it by the bowl in the imagination. Tell that worry you are holding a blessing now. Do not force the mind to silence. Offer a new motion instead. Let the hands practice lowering a burden rather than sharpening attention on it. I offer a short practice for receiving the blessing. Breathe in and picture the first phrase. Let it rest behind the sternum. Breathe out and imagine the second phrase, moving across the shoulders. Breathe in and see the last phrase spread like a soft shawl across the lap. Repeat this pattern 3 times. Each cycle is small. Each cycle trains the body to accept the promise. Blessing is also a steady guard. To be kept implies a watching that does not abandon at dusk. Picture a small sentinel sitting at the edge of a cottage. The sentinel does not shout. It keeps a lamp. It notices when the wind shifts. It knows how to make a place safe enough for sleep. Let that sentinel be part of the image of keeping. Rest follows a steady watch. When I place the phrase about God's face shining into the room, I mean more than brightness. I mean attentiveness. There is a look that does not count faults. It sees the whole shape of a life and remembers the small details. Imagine a face leaning close enough to see the lines on a palm. That careful seeing is grace. It is not a list of demands. It is recognition and care. Peace is the last part of the blessing. Peace here is not absence of trouble. It is a calm center within trouble. Picture a shallow pond in a wild field. The wind may blow across the grass. The pond surface stays relatively undisturbed in the deep place. That is the kind of peace I offer to name now. It is not magic. It is a place within the chest that can hold the next breath more easily. Allow the words to echo in the mind without pushing them to mean more than they can tonight. Let them work like a slow tide. Sometimes blessing shifts the hardest places only a little. That little is enough. A loosened jaw, a dropped shoulder, a softened thought. Small changes build a slope toward rest. If forgiveness presses into the mind, remember that blessing does not erase the need for repair. It makes space for it. You may still have to speak or to act tomorrow. Tonight, the task is different. Let the lamp be low. Let the hand rest on the chest. Let the blessing be the first motion toward mending. I place my hand lightly over yours in thought. I do not take your burden away. I hold it with you for a moment. The act of shared holding translates into a small physical ease. Breathing together matters. The rhythm of in and out is a small church for the lungs. Keep that rhythm now. Slow and soft. In 3. Out 6. Sometimes the best sign of blessing is rest that comes without guilt. If sleep arrives, receive it without apology. Sleep is not the failure of vigilance. It is the repair that the body requires. If wakefulness stays, let it be gentle. Return to the blessing. Picture the light shining and the sentinel keeping. Name the phrase in the mind. Repeat the slow breathing. Practice patience. Blessing can be spoken over others too. Before sleep, think of a single name you want to hold. Picture that person in the small light. Offer the same short phrases. Silently, be blessed. Be kept. Be given peace. The act of blessing, another widens the net of mercy. It loosens the tightness in the chest because care moves outward as easily as it moves inward. There is a quiet form of gratitude that fits with this benediction. Name one thing that felt like warmth today. It can be very small. A mug that warmed a hand. A brief kindness along the way. Place that memory into the palm. Let the gratitude sit beside the blessing, like a simple lamp on a low table. The two together steady the night. I pause the reading and listen to the house. The sounds are small and familiar, a gentle hum, the slow tick of the clock, a distant footfall. Each sound folds into the room's pattern. They become part of the blessing's ambient background. The world keeps its steady work. The blessing does its quiet work inside the body. Before I close this part, try a short benediction with me. Hear the words inside rather than as a public performance. May you be blessed and kept. May the face of care shine toward you. May peace come and lay itself across the chest like a warm shawl. Let the words be a soft rope for the mind to hold on to when worry tugs. I will place the Bible down for a moment. The lamp remains. The circle of light narrows. Rest is permitted now. The blessing stands like a small promise at the doorway of sleep. It does not demand immediate change. It only asks for a willingness to be held for the night. When the eyes grow heavy, close them without hurry. If the breath feels shorter, return to the 3/6 rhythm. If the mind wanders, bring it back gently to the image of the sentinel. The pond, the shawl of peace. Repeat the phrases slowly. Let them work their quiet way. I remain here a little while longer. My presence is steady. I will read again in the next part. For now, accept the blessing as one who gives a warm garment to a weary traveler. Let the warmth settle where it is needed. Let the peace keep watch as the night deepens. Rest in that small and steady promise. Shiti, preparing for a new day. I keep the lamp low. The room listens. Night is thinning toward dawn. I let a single thought settle in the mind. Mercy comes again each morning. The thought is simple and steady. It is not an argument. It is a small promise that comfort comes fresh with the light. I say the promise gently. God's mercies are new every morning. The phrase is not a test. It is a soft rule for the heart. Repeat it once in the mind. Let the cadence be like a small bell. It does not demand proof. It offers a pattern for waking. Picture the first light at a window. It is thin and pale at first. It crawls like a slow finger across the sill. The light finds the face. It does not shame the night. It simply touches the place that was tight and loosens it a degree. That is how mercy often comes. It is not a flood. It is a gradual warming. Breathe with that image. In for 3. Hold a small quiet. Out for 6. Each out-breath eases the thought that tomorrow must be perfected. Tonight, allow the next morning to hold its own work. Night's work is different. Night's work is gentle repair. I read a small passage that reminds of this pattern. It speaks of steady faithfulness. I do not quote the words line by line. I place the simple idea before us. Mercy shows up again and again like a faithful dawn. Let that idea sink into the bones rather than the head. Place a hand over the chest and feel the rhythm steady. Make a tiny plan for tomorrow. Not a long list. One small, manageable thing. Perhaps a prayer for a single person. Perhaps a short walk or a cup of tea taken without hurry. Write it on a scrap of paper if that helps. Fold the scrap and lay it by the lamp. The action trains the hands to let the mind rest. Tomorrow's tasks remain reachable and true. They do not need tonight to solve them. Imagine 5 small mercies waiting in the morning. They do not have to be grand. A warm sunbeam, a call from someone who cares, a brief pause that is quiet, a small triumph at a task, a chance to say a soft word. Picture them like pebbles on a windowsill. They are simple and sufficient. I teach a short practice to receive this renewal. Think of one burden that seems heavy even now. Give it a name in a line or two. Breathe in and hold the image. Breathe out and picture rolling that burden toward the foot of the bed. Set it down there. Note how the shoulders change. It may not vanish, but it sits in a different place. The night can work around it. Prepare one practical thing that eases morning's friction. Set a cup beside the kettle. Lay out a small piece of clothing you want to wear. Put a note on the door with a hope for the first hour. These small acts do not mean you control the day. They simply create fewer barriers when the light comes. They make room for mercy to be noticed. A Katie Mage helps acceptance. Picture a field at the first blush of dawn. Dew rests on each blade. The dew does not force the plant to change. It simply nourishes what is already growing. The same is true for the heart. Mercy arrives not to reshape everything at once, but to water the places where growth is possible. If worry comes, give it a place and a time. Promise the mind a short hour after breakfast to look at what needs work. For now, tuck the worry into a small tin box in the imagination. Close the lid. Hear the soft, definite click. The lid is not a denial. It is a boundary that protects rest. Practice gratitude for what the morning already promises. Name one small thing before sleep. A steady friend. A simple meal. A quiet moment of kindness. Let that gratitude be a small seed. Place it in the palm of thought. It will grow quietly while the world sleeps. I offer a brief reminder. Mercy is not measured by accomplishment. It is measured by faithfulness. The newness of morning is not a reward for perfect labor. It is a gift for tired hands. Receive it without calculation. Let the heart accept that presence without performing. Slowly. Prepare the body for rest with a short scan. Face soft. Neck long. Shoulders full. Hands open. Breath even. Feet relaxed. Each small change teaches the nervous system a new song. The body remembers these patterns. Repetition makes them easier to enter. Think of a single phrase to carry into sleep. New mercies come. Say it once or twice on the out-breath. Let the words be like a small rope the mind can hold onto when it wanders. Do not make the phrase heavy. Keep it thin and light. It is a tool for returning, not a full answer. If tears come in this gentle work, let them flow. Mercy sometimes arrives as weeping and relief together. Let the night use the tears as a small cleansing river. Do not judge the timing of the heart. The morning will still come and bring its mercies all the same. Lay out a small intention for kindness tomorrow. Nothing heroic. Perhaps a short note to someone who matters. Perhaps a patient silence in a difficult conversation. A tiny, deliberate act makes the morning's mercy visible in the day. The intention becomes a bridge that the dawn will use. Close the eyes slowly when ready. Breathe with a 3 and 6 rhythm one more time. Picture the first light on the sill. Remember, the promised mercy is renewed each dawn. Rest under that promise. Let it do its quiet work. Shabbat. Closing. I lower the Bible to my lap. The lamplight narrows to a soft circle. The house breathes low. My voice stays very quiet now. Tonight I offer a final, gentle benediction. It is small. It is meant to steady. Hear these few motions as a closing. Place a hand lightly over the heart. Feel the warm rise and fall beneath the palm. Breathe in 4 counts. Hold 1. Breathe out 6. Let the out-breath be a letting. Think of the lamp I have used. Picture it now on the table by the bed. It will wait. The light will not be bright. It is a witness. If wakefulness returns, it will be there with the same steady glow. The lamp does not demand action. It only stays. If you are carrying goods for tomorrow, tuck them gently aside. Promise the mind a single morning hour to open the list. For now, allow the hands to be empty. The night is not failure. It is rest in the pattern of grace. I offer a very short reading in the mind. Remember that mercy is faithful and that hope rests like a slow seed. These small truths act like soft planks for the feet at night. Walk on them without haste. They will hold. Practice one last brief ritual. In the mind, take a small stone and name it for one thing you release tonight. Place the stone into an imagined bowl on the bedside. Close the bowl's lid. Feel the chest give space. The practice need be no more than a single act. Repetition will deepen it. If prayer fits, speak a short sentence from the heart. Thank for a small kindness. Ask for one small thing for the morning. Keep the words plain. Prayer is a handing, not a performance. The act matters more than eloquence. I will be back with the lamp and the book again. We will return to these small practices. The reading will sit near the bed like a friend who keeps watch. You do not have to fix everything tonight. You only need to accept this moment of rest. Let the last image be of dawn, arriving gently. The first light unfolds like a soft page. New mercies are written there. Receive them in the morning as gifts, not debts. May that thought be enough to ease the night. Close the eyes when they feel heavy. Breathe slow. Let sleep come without apology. If wakefulness stays, return to the measures. You know the breath. The lamp. The small stone in the bowl. Repeat the simple acts. They are faithful. I place the Bible down softly. The lamp circle grows thinner. The room keeps watch. Rest now. Receive the mercy that is new with each morning. Trust the quiet work of night. I remain with this promise in my heart. And I will read again soon. Good night. I sit very still for a moment after the lamp is lowered. The room breathes with me. I do not hurry the silence. I let it hold what has been said so far. The last pages rest quietly. My fingers close over the cover with a tender care. A soft sense of presence settles into the space near the chair. It feels like a hand laid lightly on a shoulder. I do not need to prove it. I simply notice. The noticing is enough to change the angle of the evening. There is a peace that is not loud. It does not insist on answers. It simply stays. I have read the Bible for you tonight. I read it slowly. Each word is placed with care. The voice is calm because the heart is calm. Reading in this hour is a small ministry. The pages are not a test. They are an offering. The act of reading is, for me, a way to hold the room steady until the night completes its work. Feel how the breath answers the body. Breathe in gently. Pause. Breathe out long and soft. Let the out-breath be 2 counts longer than the in-breath. This pattern is a small gift to the nervous system. It teaches the body to loosen when the world says to tighten. Aimbaida kier image. Picture a narrow path lit by small, friendly lanterns. You walk along it at the pace you choose. No hurry. Each lantern marks a small mercy. Each light is a moment of grace you have already felt or might yet receive. Keep to this path if the mind wanders. Let the lanterns guide one small step at a time. There is a tenderness here that does not make demands. It simply asks for the permission to rest. Say yes. If the heart can, if answering aloud feels strange, answer inwardly. A small yes is enough. The body follows the smallest vows more than the loudest proclamations. If sleeplessness keeps the night, do not count it as failure. Instead, treat it like a long, slow tide. Tend to it the way a gardener tends a stubborn bed of soil. Water what can be watered. Pull a single stubborn weed. Return later with gentler hands. The night will hold you through the slow work. Think now about the people who share your life. Hold one name in the quiet. Say no more than their name in the mind. Picture a warm light surrounding them for a moment. Pray a short, plain wish for them, safety. Rest. A small relief. This small attention is faithful work. It does not fix everything, but it opens a channel for mercy to move. If you are lonely, remember you are not the only one awake in the dark. Many nights hold watchers. This recording, this voice, sits with you in that company. The lamp I use is a small symbol. It shows the same warm light to many houses. You do not have to pretend to be okay. The honest presence of quiet is enough to begin mending what the day broke. Share this moment if you wish. If someone nearby also needs rest, invite them to breathe with you. A shared breath changes a room. It transforms the feeling of being alone into the sense of being accompanied. If there is no one near, think of the wider circle of listeners. Quietly, name the thought that someone else hears you. That knowledge steadies the nerves. I ask a small favor if this time brings you calm. Tell a friend that this space helped you rest. You do not need to explain why. A simple mention may invite another weary heart to find the same quiet. Mercy travels best when shared in plain ways. Keep to small practices. If prayer fits, speak one simple sentence. If not, hold the sentence just under the breath. Name one small need. Name one small thanks. Combine them without argument. The pairing trains the heart into a pattern that keeps well into morning. I remind myself, and you, that being Christian in the night is not about proving doctrine. It is about trusting a presence. It is about leaning into a care that is willing to hold what is heavy Let the phrase "you are held" sit quietly. It does not explain everything. It does the work of making the next breath easier. If tears come, let them wash the face. Tears are not a sign of weakness. They are an honest response to the body's need to unbind. I have cried in rooms like this before. The presence I read of does not flinch from tears. It sits and tends the cheek with the same steady gentleness that settles a weary head. When thoughts return and begin their old loops, do not attempt to out-argue them. Offer a small counter-motion. Say a soft phrase in the mind, one breath at a time. Place the attention on the movement of the lungs. Let the body guide the thinking, rather than the other way around. The body trusts pattern and patience. I keep the voice low because low tones teach the ear to slow. I read not to lecture, but to lead the room toward rest. The words from the book are companions. They do not rush into the dark. They move with the rhythm of the breath. If a passage caught you tonight, let it sit like a seed. You do not need to plant it anywhere grand. Leave it in the pocket of the heart. It will grow quietly. Let us keep a short ritual for parting. Place the palms together softly. Bow the head slightly. Offer a one-line wish for the night. It can be this: may mercy be near. May hope be steady. The words are small and open-ended. They do not demand performance. They simply place intent into the night's hands. If you are awake later, you can return to this voice. The lamp will be waiting in the recording. The rhythm will be the same. The promise will be steady. Rest is often a practice of return rather than of arrival. Come back to these words as many times as you need. Consider one practical comfort before sleep. Set a glass of water within reach. Lay out a small cloth. Tuck a note where the morning can find it. These small preparations are not superstitious. They are gestures of care for a body that will wake to continue the day's labor. They say, I am preparing gently for tomorrow. If worry about tomorrow presses, try one brief exercise. Write a single line on a slip of paper. Make it a manageable task. Fold the paper and place it beside the bed. Tell the mind you will look at it in the morning for 1 clear minute. Then close the book on tomorrow's list. The act trains hands away from midnight labor. I close the Bible in a careful motion. The sound is soft. It marks the end of the reading and the beginning of the night's quiet work. The pages do not vanish. They rest against one another like two hands folded. The lamp's circle narrows slowly. The room keeps a small glow. Now hear one last blessing in the plainest terms I can offer. May you find rest that mends. May mercy greet you gently in the morning. May hope surprise you in small ways. Let these wishes be simple, promises you can return to in the mind when the night grows long. Before we part, breathe together once more. In for 3. Hold. Out for 6. Let the out-breath be an offering. Let go of the day's sharp edges. Let the chest accept a modest ease. Place the hand lightly over the heart and feel the steady rise and fall. That touch is a small sacrament of care. If you sleep now, do so without guilt. Sleep is not escape. It is repair. Receive it. If the night keeps you awake, stay with these small motions. Repeat the breath. Name a single gratitude. Picture a lantern on the path. The little actions add up. I will be back with the lamp and the book. I will read as long as there is need. My voice will keep this same gentle pace. Until then, take this final encouragement with you. You are not alone in the dark. A presence keeps watch. A patient mercy meets the dawning day. Good night. May you rest in peace. May grace find you at the first light. May the morning bring what you need. I remain here in spirit with a steady voice and a small, warm lamp. Sleep when you are ready. I will read again soon.